Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Oh my God. The day is finally here. The Stress Management Summit Africa. So we're just going to give a few minutes for people to join in, like 4 minutes more, so that once it's 4 o'clock, that's GMT plus one, then we will begin immediately. Meanwhile, tell me, where are you joining from? Where are you joining from? I'm here in the UK and it's really sunny. It's quite sunny. The weather is good. So let me know, where are you joining from? Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. Hi. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sebefia. Mary. I see you from Accra, Ghana. Hi, Dr. Uzi. I see you. Onyekachi. Hello. Can you hear the background music? Okay. For some reason, I can't see people's comments again. Let's see. It's a calm music. Hello, 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 hello. So we just have 2 more minutes to begin, waiting for a few more people to join in so that we can start immediately. Hi. I see you, Ben Tonin. I see you, Emmanuel Onyekachi from Nigeria, Dr. Uzi, Rianu Catherine. Thank you. Thank you, and Atinushola. Thank you. Where are you all joining from? Justina from Sierra Leone. You're welcome to this live broadcast. Feel free to share this broadcast to your audience, share the video to your audience so that people will join in and learn, become empowered, because I believe that an empowered family, parent, child is an empowered society. So let's do this, guys. Okay. All right. It's time now. I think I need to pause this music at the moment. Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from, and welcome to the Stress Management Summit Africa. Wow, this is our thing, this is our own thing. And the interesting part is the speakers are all Africans. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of introduction about the summit before we welcome our first speaker. I see you, Ba, Patience, Bukola. Hello, 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 hello. So I'm Ezinne Nnamdi-Louis. I'm a medical doctor and I work in UK practicing in emergency medicine department. I'm also the founder of a tribe. The Thriving Olive Tribe is a tribe of thriving professionals who come together to learn how to thrive daily while excelling in all spheres. Again, I am the convener of the Stress Management Summit Africa. Interestingly, this is the fourth year we are doing this. So, about the summit, that was back in 2020 at the peak of COVID. I was out of work. I wasn't practicing as a doctor. So, what happened was I was thinking of how to support my colleagues who were at the front line, battling COVID. So I was thinking of what I can do to support. And then the idea came, why not host a summit? That was in 2020. Interestingly, I had a mentor at that time, and immediately I spoke to my mentor. She didn't even delay. She made me get to work immediately. And I had only 3 weeks then to speak to people, create awareness, get speakers, and all of that to be able to host a summit. So that was the beginning of the Stress Management Summit Africa. Why did we continue it subsequently? Okay, the co-host has joined. I'll introduce her later. Let me just finish the story. So why we continued it subsequently is because we wanted a situation where there will be increased awareness on the dangers of stress overload in Africa, and we wanted a situation where we also teach how to manage this stress, because in Africa we live in societies where it's in some countries it's a taboo to mention the word stress, or to say something like I'm stressed. That's why people are dying of depression, dealing with anxiety, because they didn't even know how to manage the initial phases or the initial stages of the stress. So that is why we are doing this for Africa. And then for the theme of this year, the theme is my child's mental well-being. And you may be wondering why, how is it related? Yes, it is very much related, because we are talking about stress management here. And what is one of the things that inspired the theme for this year is experiences in my practice in the emergency department. Whenever I see children coming down with mental health concerns, you see children taking medication overdose to kill themselves, you see children going through depression, anxiety, like it really breaks my heart. So this is one of the things that inspired the Stress Management Summit Africa, and I'm really, really grateful for it. And interestingly, when the idea came to host the theme, my child's well-being, I quickly contacted our co-host, who is going to be joining us shortly. She's already in the background. I contacted the co-host. We had our first meeting, and in that meeting, with her idea, we fine-tuned the topic of this summit, the theme of this summit, from my child's well-being, which is really vast, to my child's mental well-being, which is why we all have gathered here today. And based on that, we are going to be talking about different things, including understanding my child's mental well-being, how to help your child manage your stress, how to be a safe space for your child, and also emotional regulation for parents, because it's also important for us parents to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the children, because we can't pour from an empty cup. So I'm going to be welcoming the co-hosts with me, Wunmi Olotu, all the way from South Africa.
Hello.
Wunmi.
Okay. So I'm like, I think, okay. I'm like, okay, where's my camera facing? Oh, look at me.
Just
It's
find
been a
this.
long time since I actually saw myself in a camera. Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to. I'm always very so busy that I'm always like dress up, get out, dress up, get out, dress up, get out. Hello everyone. My name is Wunmi. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us. We really, really want to pass our heart across to you, our heart for families, our heart for kids, and our heart for Africa. I think not the world as a whole, but Africa. Like even me living in I live in Cape Town, South Africa, and Cape Town is a mix of black and white, but we have a higher population of white than blacks. So we have 70% white than black in Cape Town. So and Cape Town is such a very developed city, structured, a lot of things. So I'm starting to see a lot of things that I feel like, oh, I wish I can take this back to Africa. I wish I can take this back to Africa. I want to take this back to Africa. So I'm in Africa, like, and I actually want to start from South Africa because now I want to go into, other places in South Africa that are black dominated, like my color, or brown, because my child would tell me I'm not black, I'm brown. So so I'm starting to like there are many things that I'm starting to learn that I want to take and introduce to my people and see how help us grow. So we are really excited to have you here. We hope you learn, ask questions, and have fun. That's the most important thing. And be here, be present to learn.
Be present. Very important. Be present. Don't be distracted. If there's any distraction, just keep it by the side so that you don't miss anything. I know there are parenting coaches that charge a lot of money to be able to teach the things we're about to teach today, but you're getting everything at no cost because our interest is let children just be fine. Let's raise wholesome adults who will grow tomorrow and not be thinking about dealing with childhood traumas, trying to sort themselves out, whereas they are meant to be using that energy to be building their lives, contributing to the society. So it can be really, really draining. So let's invest the time that we've come here to spend. Let's invest it maximally. So let me just catch up on people that have joined while we were talking. Yeah, we have Patience, Bukola, Karim, our social media manager, the amazing lady. Happy, I see you, John Ojo, Emeka, Obi Kinsley. Yeah, I see you all. Hello, 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 hello. So okay, I think we should just go straight to the speakings, to the teaching. Interestingly, Wumi is the founder of Parenting and Marriage. She's a mental health professional. In fact, let me just tell you guys her biography because she, even though she's the co-host, she's going to be the first speaker for today. You need to listen to this lady. The first time we had a meeting as the hosts of this summit. She started teaching me. We came for a meeting. Instead, she started teaching me and started teaching me parenting hacks. I said, oh, hold on, let's finish the meeting first. So I'm really excited that she's going to teach us all the things that she can't wait to share. She's just the best person to introduce this summit. So about Wumi, give me a second. Let me tell you guys whom we have here with us. Give me a second. Okay. So Wumi is a researcher. She is passionate about learning about the human life. She's an avid learner on everything from health to wealth and everything in between. She's a lover of kids and very passionate to see them grow into mentally and physically healthy humans. She has a heart for families, especially parents, because she knows firsthand what it means to be a mother and a father. It can be quite a lot on the human body and mind, especially with the increased rate of immigration and loss of people are raised and lots of people are raising kids without a village. She's a nature lover. She loves spending time outdoors in green spaces and oceans. I agree with that because I've seen lots of her pictures. She's a mom and a wife and a lover of life. So I'm so excited to welcome Wumi, who will be teaching us about understanding your child's mental well-being. So I'm going to take the backstage now, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Ezinne. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the welcome again. So I just want to do something quickly. I'm not sure I can see people here. If you're here, can you just type hello or I or good afternoon or good evening? Can you type something so I can know that we're here and not just good? Thank you. I'm still waiting for others, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Adeoti Muhib. Thank you so much. Comfortella, good evening. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Abisola Joy. Hello, Israel. Hello, Ms. Karim Freda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the messages, so I'm able to know that, oh, I'm not alone here and you're here and that you're participating. Like Ezinne said, my name is, well, the screen, my name is Wunmi, and this is my 7th year in teaching parenting, and it's been an interesting journey. So, as an undergraduate, I studied computer science. So, as an undergraduate, I knew that I loved it. Not even my life dated back to when I was a preteen, when I was 10, 11, 12. You know, I loved speaking in debates at schools. I would represent my class. I was very good. I loved speaking and talking, and I wanted to join the art department when I got to GSS 3, to the senior secondary school. You know, when you now have to major. So I wanted to go to that, but my dad was like, "No, you cannot. You know, back then, if you study hard, you're a dollar and all. And being the first child, I guess the classification." So he was like, "No, you cannot." I was very sad. So, but still, I still really had a love for speaking and all. So when I finished secondary school, I wanted to, I didn't know what I wanted to study because it wasn't really, okay, I'd always wanted to study mass communication. But yeah, I was with a senior certification in sciences. And I wanted to get into the university as quickly as I could, like every kid. So I did my exams, got admission into Polytechnic in Osun State and in Nigeria. And I wanted to study. The other thing that I liked was also math. So I wanted to study math or computer science, but somehow a friend of mine said to me, "Umi, why don't you study computer science? You have more options than math," which is interesting. So I studied computer science, and all through while I was studying computer science, I didn't really like it. I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't really much of talking. I only thrived when we had to present something like we had a topic, you had to Google it, you had to. I've always loved. Funny, I've always loved research from a long time. So the topics, the courses where I tried were the courses where we had to research on something and then we had to present it. Those were the courses that I thrived in. So I would search and I would present, and I always got done. I always did so well in my presentation and all that. Funny, it's hard looking at myself at the camera. Oh my words, will we concentrate? So I tried so much in all that. And then I got out. So while I was studying in school, I was like, okay, you know what? I still want to go back to my speaking thing. I want to speak. So as an undergraduate, I started doing internships in companies with, you know, public speakers, you know, in different places, and I would go to events with my bosses and all. It was quite an amazing journey for me. And then one day I started motivational teaching. And then I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. Like I just felt like, no, this is not what I should do. So one day my husband came home and was explaining one of his colleagues' kid who didn't want to go to school, but the dad thought he was lazy. So the colleague was like, "Oh, he didn't want to go to school." So I said, "Oh, you have to go and you have to do this." So So it did force the child to go to school. So as my husband was explaining that to me, I was just like, no, he should have listened to the child. He should have. I was heavily pregnant then. I was 7 months, and I was like, should have listened. He should have done this. And that was when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a voice for children. I wanted to help parents. I wanted to communicate the mind of a child to the parent, and I started my company. And this is 7 years that I have been doing this, and I'm very thankful. And I have worked with a lot of families over the years, done conferences, done teachings, have lots of reviews. It's been an amazing journey. And like Dr. Ezinne said, sometimes the cases you work with and the things you hear and the things you see can be somehow sad because you're like, oh my God, what is wrong? Where are parents going wrong? You see, so yeah, so today I want to talk about understanding child's mental well. If you're still here, it's going to be like an interactive class because I'm a teacher, I teach in schools, I teach kids. So I need feedback. So if you're still here, say still listening. So please start still listening if you're here and still listening to my story. Okay, so I'm waiting for you to type still listening if you're still here. Hello? Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So now, so yeah, I just want to tell you a bit of my background before I started teaching kids. So yes, I am excited. So I want to talk. So let me tell you how I came by mental health. So like I said to you, I have started teaching parents. I've worked a lot with a lot of families online, a lot of families online, and I do a lot of one-on-one sections, a lot of trainings, and I started to realize that as much as I want, parents to understand their kids, I realized that, oh, if the marriage is not well, that they will not be able to actually understand the kids. So I started, learning about I'm an avid learner. I love learning. So I started learning and studying about marriage, started reading, started doing all sorts of things to learn about marriage. And I started working with couples with marriages also. I started doing marriage workshops and all of that. So then I realized also that it wasn't also then I realized that, oh, I want people to focus on their marriage and their kids. It's not. It's about the person. It's about the person. If the person is not well mentally, then there's no way, or if the person is not happy internally, there is no way that they can actually, give their best to their kid and their partner. So I started learning about mental health, and it's been an amazing journey, and I'm part of quite the certifications in mental health. So I have studied mental health. It's a topic that is so dear, dear, dear to my heart. And it's so dear to my heart because it's a term that we didn't really know about. We were just living, you see. We didn't really know anything about mental health until a few years back, and the terms started coming out, all the terms and or depression, this started coming out. It's just a term that is coming up now. So I'm really passionate about mental well-being for grown-ups and for kids. So now the first way I actually want to explain mental well-being, mental health to you is this. So like I said, I'm a teacher. I teach kids in schools on mental health and self-esteem, and also I like being very practical. So I came to class with something. Trying to see if you can see me. So this is a banana. Can you see this is a banana? Where's my camera facing? Hmm. Okay, so this is a banana. I want to use this banana to represent human beings. So this is human. This is the human. The flesh of this banana is the human body, is what we have now. My skin, my clothes, everything is my human body. So inside the banana is a lovely fruit. I'm gonna peel the banana now. It's this. Can you see this fruit? So this fruit is what is, like, it's the function of the skin. So this is this human body. Inside is the mental well-being. So this is my brain. My brain. My brain controls my entire body. Everything goes from here. How I act in life, how I move in life, how I do anything is controlled from here. So this thing here, this brown thing here is my skin. But what my mental health, after you unpeel this skin, my brain inside is the mental health, is what functions, is what controls everything about my life. So it's the same thing. The banana is the skin. The banana go is the mental health, or like the function. Is the reason why this banana is not that I want to eat the skin. I'm after the banana inside. So, yes, that's mental health. Your skin is the covering. Your what's inside, it's the mental health, your brain. And I recently heard a neurosurgeon say this, that your mental health is brain health. It's just simple like that. I like keeping things simple. Your mental health is brain health. So when you hear mental health, because now it's becoming like this thing, is just simply your brain health. Your brain health is your brain healthy. That's just what mental health means. So your brain controls a lot of things, and now we want to focus on your child's mental health. So when we were growing up, you see, we weren't allowed to do so many things. It was just like, you grow up, you go to school, you clean the house, you cook, you do this, you do that, like you just do all sort of things that like a robotic function. So we didn't really know much about mental health. Like, it wasn't something that it's a big deal, because even now I'm starting to understand certain terms. Like, now sometimes when I have reflection and go to my childhood, I remember, oh, this was what my mom was experiencing at this particular time, because my parents got divorced in the period, in the process. So this is what my mom was experiencing at this, but oh, it's actually this time. Oh, this was what was going on with me at this time. It was actually called coping mechanisms. So we're now starting to have the terminologies, but I'm not here to speak about terminologies. I'm just here to tell you that mental health is basically brain health. It's just that we only see the after effects. Like, when my parents got separated, there was a lot of issues that happened, especially me being the first child. You see, there were a lot of, growing up that I had to quickly do, even though I didn't want it. And there was a lot of life adjustment that I had to adjust to, like moving from a 3 bedroom to a 1 bedroom. It was quite a lot, and a lot of internal things were manifesting, but we didn't have the terms. What I'm trying to say now is, like, in our African, and I'm particularly saying African because in our African society, we only see the effect. We don't say, oh, this child is misbehaving, or this child is not concentrating, or this child is just lazy, or this child is this, or this child is that, or is not focused. Because I remember growing up, my dad used to compare us a lot with our neighbors and say, oh, my neighbor's child, my this, my that, my your country is doing this, is doing that. But we only seeing all that effect, but you're not seeing what's going on at the back end. Like I said, this thing is what is controlling everything. So we're not seeing what is going at the back end, only seeing the after effect. So when this thing is not well, we tend to start exhibiting things. And it's just like, if the body is not well, like last night I couldn't sleep so much because somehow I had a runny nose, and I was just sneezing and using all sort of things, trying to, my body couldn't. I had a runny nose. I couldn't sleep well. Not sleeping well is the effect of the runny nose. So, but in kids, we see, okay, this is happening to this child, this is happening to this child, but there is something at the back end. Or sometimes we're just very quick to beat the kid, because that's what a lot of African parents do. Like, we're very quick to beat the child, and or quick to scream at the child, but we're not actually seeing what's going on at the end. So I also want to show you this thing. So this is a spot orange. Hmm. Can I have any issues with this? I'm sorry, this is screen sensitive. So I was at the store a few days ago and I got some oranges for my kids for the vitamins. And I put it in the pack. I didn't take it out because I forgot it there. And then this evening, as I was trying to clear up, I saw the oranges. I was like, okay, let me put you in the fridge. And I saw this particular, and I said, yes, this is what I want to use to illustrate. So what I mean, why I wanted to show you, sorry about the picture. Why I wanted to show you the spot orange is to for you to understand that the after effect of what's going on here, it's what shows on the outside. Sorry, before this orange starts to become like this, something is already happening on the inside, but I can only see the outside. You see, if I eat this now, I'm gonna get sick. So this is just to only explain to you that a lot of sometimes the things that exhibit in children start from the inside. This was probably due to so much moisture, maybe because it was in the box. I didn't take it out. It was on the counter. I was there, and the eat and everything was happening to it. I just didn't take it out. So I couldn't take it anymore. The funniest part was in the box I had like I think seven, you know, oranges. This was the only one that got spoiled. So some kids can, be okay with whatever is going on, and some kids do not. And this is what happened to the orange. This particular orange couldn't cope with this thing. So the inside is rotting, but I can only see the outside effect. But so in kids, sometimes we only see the outside, we do not see the inside. We're only saying, oh, this child is acting like this child is acting. So with this few points of mine, I hope I've been able to explain to you what mental health actually is. um yeah, so I want to quickly talk about how can you help your child's mental health. I see I'm running out of time. So is that the first thing I want to talk about is in the African nature, because yeah, this is stress. I'm in Africa, so my focus is Africans. So now the first thing I want to talk about that a lot of us actually happened while we were growing up is our parents were very quick to dismiss us. Like we weren't heard. You see, we were not heard. Um I can tell you that as a mom and as a wife, sometimes I experience certain things, and my husband is like, "Why don't you tell me you're this? Why don't you tell me you're that?" And then maybe probably the when I do so much is when I'm sick. Aside being a mom, I always say moms don't have time to be sick. There's no time. Um, but you can get sick anyway. But so what I'm saying is sometimes when I'm sick, I'm just like still up and doing and I just push it through and all that kind of stuff. But my husband would be like, why didn't you just tell me you're sick or you have a tummy ache or did it? But the thing is, I was not taught to talk about the things the way I feel. Our parents listen to us, but the way they actually listen is just so different because you're just like, what do you have to say? They weren't really listening to us, you see, and that's one of the causes of mental health issues, or one of the, or let me say, behavioral issues. Now that one is more related, that one is simpler. You remember I said that the whatever is happening is what is going to exhibit. So now the child is exhibiting certain things, which is like, oh, he's behaving somehow, or ara ubale, like a nice Yoruba word, ara ubale, like too hyper. That's what a lot of Africans say. This child was so hyper. So so back to myself, I just wasn't taught how to actually hear, to listen. I wasn't actually taught to speak up what I was expressing, the way I was feeling. So now being married and being a grown up now, it's quite difficult for me to actually say, this is how I feel, or I feel this way. I find myself working on trying to express the way I feel. Because most of the time our parents are very quick to dismiss us, and our parents are very quick to say, oh, this is my own terrain and this is how it's going to work, or I'm the boss of you. That's what a lot of African parenting do. Now we're in the modern world where a lot of African parents are becoming aware and we're trying to do better and we're having resources. We are getting there, but you find out that some of those African things are still ingrained. Like, for instance, when I speak to, I've got two boys, and sometimes when I'm speaking with my kids, I realize that sometimes that African mother thing just comes out. Like it just basically just comes out because I'm African and I was raised that way. So sometimes maybe my oldest son is acting somehow saying something and I'll be like, eh? Hey, don't let me bring out the Nigerian mother in me. Or sometimes I don't even say the Nigerian mother in me just comes out because it's been years of parenting that way. So it's ingrained, in us. It takes a lot of intent. If you look at my life is, well, the key word in my life is intentionality. I'm very intentional about everything that I do, where I go, how I spend my energy, where I relate with, where I work with. I'm very intentional about that. So what I'm saying is that if you're not intentional, you'll be very quick to dismiss your child. And that's one of the things that happen when your child start exhibiting behavioral problem. And behavioral problem starts with this, comes from here. So now we're very quick to dismiss our children. So please, let's not be quick to dismiss our children, even though we live in such a, hey, economy is not smiling. My brothers and sisters, like the economy is not smiling at all. Like things are quite expensive. So I understand because I'm a mom. And as much as I love what I do, and I'm like, oh, do it this way, or do it this, I'm very practical and I'm very honest because I know that parenting, the economy is not smiling, and there's a lot of things that we have to pay. We have to pay for this, we have to feed them, we have to clothe them, we have to do this. So the patience of a parent can be quite slim, but still, you still, that's where the word intention comes into place. You still have to make sure that you pay attention to your child as much as you can. You are not dismissing your child and say, well, I don't want to hear what you're saying, or this is my, like, for instance, when I was growing up and there were certain things that I wanted to try, and my dad would be like, no, you can't try that. No, I want to eat, and then you must eat. Or I remember when I was trying to make my mom change the seasoning that she uses in her food. We call it Maggi in Nigeria. So like I was like, Mom, why don't you use this one? She was used a particular brand. And I remember, she said, when you're grown up in your own house, you can use whatever. But in my own house, this is what I use. So those were instances of me trying to explain to my parents, and they were not actually listening to me. So you see, sometimes parenting are always like that. We're quick to dismiss. Now I want to be very quick. I'm fast with what I'm saying. And the first thing, don't be quick to dismiss your child, because those things affect internally. The child starts to act somehow. There's a lot of processing that this brain. There's a lot. There's this one is called that it's a lot of big words that you have in the brain, and each one of them have different function. Each one of them, the pleasure one, the this one, the stressed one. So there are different functions that happens in there. So some, when you dismiss your child too much, there are many things that are going on at the back end that's processing in the head, and then you start seeing the child act out. So please try not to so dismissive of your children. Try as much, in like 10 to 10, try to be like 6 or 7 non-dismissive of your child, please. The next thing that I want to say is that saying I love you to your child. A child that is well knows that he or she is loved, is a stable child, is a child that is less prone to behavioral issues, or a child that is prone to mental whatever or disorder or whatever. So please always make sure that your children know that they are loved. And you have to say I love you to your children, even though we think that, oh, we love our children. As Africans, we're not used to saying those words. We're not used to saying I love you. But you have to, because they're kids. They're little kids. They don't know. They only see us being busy and busy and busy and busy and working and doing this and doing it, but they don't know. But sometimes the simple things that, oh, I love you. Oh, I remember I love you. Oh, I love you. 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 Then it gets ingrained in their mind that even if my mother is stressed out, or even my father is stressed out, he loves me. You see, so it's something that you have to say to your children. The other thing that I want to say is too much screen time. Screen time is good, but too much of it is not good. You see, we allow our children to watch too much screen, and it's not good because you are consuming. You're consuming. Now I'm laughing because when I started seeing myself, my reflection in the camera is just funny for me because I'm not used to screens. So I watch screens, I watch movies, but it's not something that you would see me sit. So I barely really even see my face, to be honest. So too much screen time is not good because you're allowing your child to consume too much media. There's too much going on. Cartoons, I don't know, maybe it's been like that in our own days or in these days. But now these days, cartoon, you'll be surprised at the things that are displaying in these cartoons, the many messages that are being passed, the scary messages. Even if you cross over to YouTube Kids, my dear brothers and sisters, YouTube Kids is not also 100% safe. Or maybe YouTube, you allow ads, and then the ad, you'll be surprised at the ads that play when your child is watching YouTube or whatever cartoon that your child. Too much screen time is good. Too much screen time is good, but too much of it is not good. So do not allow your children to watch too much screen time. It's after, because then they start to, experience it. For instance, I'll give you one. I remember there was this cartoon that my child was watching, and the parent was displaying so much presents, so much this. They have cars, they have this, they have that. All this real life kids cartoon where the kids were doing unboxing of this, unboxing. Even me as the parent, as I was watching, I was cringing because it started making me feel like, oh, my child has less toys. So imagine a child consuming all that information and is looking at his or her house and saying how many toys do I have. There's so much in the media that is going out, because the views, the more people, they make it so addictive and interesting so that your children can watch it. So we have to make sure that the screen time your child is watching is not so much. I'm not one that will say, oh, don't watch screen, because sometimes as parents, screens are the only things that we allow our children to, so that we can have peace of mind. Just go and watch. But me in my home, there are certain times where I'm like, that's enough screen time, guys. I switch up the TV, let's go play. Let's go outside, let's go and play, or let's play with toys, let's do. And sometimes I let them, but I watch what is. It's just a mix of balance, guys. So please, the last thing that I want to say is sleep. You'll be amazed the way sleep is very, very important in your child's mental health, in your child's behavior. Sleep is just the key. As a kid, we weren't really taught about, oh, sleep. We're just like, oh, we go to sleep when we're tired. But the thing, you should not even go to sleep when you're tired. You should go to sleep because your body needs it, or you need your body to function well. So I just want to quickly say this, that I want to give you the hours of sleep that every human should meet. First of all, if you have a 1 to 2 year old, your child should be sleeping 11 to 14 hours in a day, including naps. 1 to 2 year olds, 11 to 14 hours in a day. 3 to 5 year old, 10 to 13 hours in a day, including naps. 6 to 12 years old, 9 to 12 hours in a day. 13 to 18, 8 to 10. Adult, minimum of 7. Adult to 7, between 7 and 9. So I want to say quickly again: 1 to 2, 11 to 14, 3 to 5, 10 to 13, 6 to 12, 9 to 12 hours, 13 to 18, 8 to 10, adult 7 to 9, between that gaps. So this is how I do my kids' sleep time. I look at the time I want them to go to sleep. I look at the time I want them to wake up. So I calculate the period of time we did get the amount of time they are supposed to sleep. Sleep is very important for your child to focus. Now we're having a lot of kids having ADHD, ADD. I'm not saying that lack of sleep is what is causing ADD or ADHD, but I'm just telling you that ADD and ADHD is just attention deficit. Like we cannot concentrate in school, and there's a lot of biological things at the back end. But what I'm trying to say is that sleep is very important for your child to focus, because as parents, especially African parents, we really want our children to do well in school. Like, oh, I want my child to, succeed academically. So screen time, sleep is very key. A child that sleeps well is a child that lacks behavioral problem. One of the ways to reduce your child's behavioral problem is to make sure that they sleep well. Thank you so much for listening. So I think I have 5 minutes left for questions. So if you have any questions or ask me before the next speaker comes on, please let me know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Wunmi. Wow, you highlighted so many things. Let me just summarize all the things you've said. So the first one you talked about, don't be quick to dismiss your child. While I'm saying this, if you have any question, please ask in the comments so that Wunmi can use the remaining minutes she has to answer the question. And then, okay, don't be quick to dismiss your child and say I love you, not too much screen time, and then sleep. These are really, really important. These are very, very important. And okay, People are saying thank you, thank you, thank you. That of not being to dismiss your child is something that is so common, especially when we are stressed as parents. Imagine you've come back from work really tired, and then your child is coming to you to tell you maybe about their day in school or something that just happened. The first thing you're going to do is leave me alone, or no, no, next time. When you keep dismissing your child like that, they are going to find someone else to be expressing themselves to, and before you know it, you're losing your child. They are forming
Mm-hmm.
behaviors maybe from advice that someone else has given them, and then you're wondering, who is this child, who is this person under my roof? So it's really, really essential that we are not quick to dismiss that child. Wumi mentioned the word intentionality. So when that child comes to you, remind yourself that you have to be intentional to listen first and not to dismiss first. So listen first, even if it sounds silly. You're just creating that space where they can tell you things. I know that most of us grew up thinking of saying things like, when I have my own children, I'm going to make sure my children can tell me things, can express themselves to me. But this is how it begins. If you keep dismissing them, you're not going to achieve that goal. And then that of sleep, oh my God, it's very important. I know that there are some families, what they do is when a child is sleeping, they'll be like, wake up, wake him up, let him eat. Wake him up, let him eat. Wake up, let her eat. See, I know that eating is good, okay, especially for a child that went to bed really hungry. But if you know that hunger is not the main thing at the moment, let that child sleep, because you don't want, even you that is an adult, if somebody wakes you up when you're still sleeping, you're going to feel really cranky, really angry. That someone interrupted your sleep. So also think about children that same way. Okay, think about children that same way. So there is a question for you. What do you mean by ADD? Ma? I
So
think
there
that's
is but it's more coming up in, like, okay, so the one thing that I see that the Western world has more than we do is access to knowledge and information. So they are very quick to access knowledge and the research and all the things. So there's something called attention deficit disorder. ADD is just attention deficit disorder. It's starting to come up now in children. All these children who are like, oh, this child is hyperactive, or this child cannot focus in school, this child does not know book. Let me use it as my Nigerian word. The Nigerian people say this child does not know book. These things that we see now, research, the white people are starting to find terminologies for these things. So some of the terms that has come up now is, oh, a child that is like this, like this, like this, has attention deficit disorder. So that's what ADD means. But what I actually mean is that sometimes some of these things that we see are actually just lack of certain things that parents are lacking. So another person says, how about a child that throws lots of trans and the only social for you as a mother is just to play cartoon, but you said too much of sugar. Oh, I'm an advocate of cartoons. You see, when a child is throwing tantrum, you have to there's always a reason, to be honest. When children do in fact, even as adults, there's a reason when children misbehave. There's a reason why certain things happen. So if a child is throwing tantrum, like for me, if my child is throwing tantrum, as my younger child is throwing tantrum, I first ask, is it hungry? Is it sleepy? Has it made a poop? That's my 2-year-old. I've got a 2-year-old. So that's the first thing I ask myself. Is he hungry? Is he sleepy? If I see that he's very impatient with his brother, or he's not sharing things, because I teach my children how to share things. If I see he's not sharing things, he's impatient, he's just throwing whatever, I ask myself, is he sleepy? Is he hungry? Has he made a poop? Or if I see there's okay, and most of the time I find out that there's out of those three, one of it has happened. It's either he has made a poop that I didn't see, or he's hungry, or somehow. So tantrums sometimes are like an expression of what is happening to the child. So first of all, try to find the cause. But then, because even if you put it the screen time, it works, but still, there's still the cause. You haven't figured out the cause. You've only distracted the child, you see. But you also need to calm your child down. So screen time works for children throwing tantrum. I use it also. We're always trying to, distract calm our children down. What I'm saying is that don't let your child watch cartoon 8 hours, 6 hours, no stop, no stop. So please let them take breaks in between. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is the child hungry? Is the child feeling sleepy? And then again, one thing I noticed about my daughter is that sometimes when she's throwing such tantrums, she's seeking attention. So sometimes she just wants
Yeah,
you
that's
to hug.
another thing.
When you hug her, she's fine. But when she's not getting that attention, she gets really frustrated. And children don't really know how to express certain emotions.
Yeah,
So the
that's
only thing they know is like different tantrums. So try to figure out what exactly is going on here. That's part of understanding your child in order to relate better with them. But if you give them cartoons, as Wunmi said, you're just distracting them from the real issue. It will be difficult for you to really understand your child. So we have more questions here. Thank you, Wunmi, for this presentation. Question is, how best can we make these children our friends without spoiling them?
so it's a tricky question because that question has to do with you personally. So like for instance, your child is a reflection of you. You see, I find out sometimes when my older son has play dates with his friends or has a party or something, I realized I don't want to use strict, I'm a firm parent. That's the word I use for myself. So I'm starting to see, oh, I don't take this, I don't allow this, I don't allow this. Because I've learned to work on myself to be firm. So saying you want to be your child's friend without spoiling them is sometimes we have to work on ourselves first and we have to be sensitive. You see, I believe in the two cohabiting. I'm my child's friend. Ha! That's the number one job for me. I'm my child's friend and I'm my child's guardian and parent because I need to make sure that my child comes to me, and I also need to make sure that anyway, then I think the next speaker said how to be your child safe space. So that's the thing the next speaker is gonna talk. I don't want to delve into our topic because she's equally very good. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we have lots of questions here. And the next speaker is already in the background waiting to join
Yes.
in. And
Mhm.
let me just put
Yeah.
this one. This is not a question, but it's really, really important. You know that I know that there is no specific figure, but so many female children, especially in Africa, have undergone sexual abuse. And this is one of the reasons. The parents didn't listen, and the parents created that space where it was difficult to express ourselves or to call out people that were behaving in certain ways to us. So that's why it's really important. That first point that Wunmi said, you have to be really patient to listen to that child. No matter how angry you are or stressed out you are, just be patient. For every other question we have, please just be patient. We have the next speaker that is coming to talk about being a safe space for your child. She's already in the background. Thank you so much, Wunmi. Thank you. I knew you would do justice to this topic. I knew it.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you. So you're still the
So what's
co-host.
the question before we bring the next speaker? How do I go to the background? Do I stop my camera or
Okay, don't worry. I will quickly do that now. Um, So, guys, oh my God, I know that we have lots of questions from Wumi's session. I'm really, really, really sorry that we won't be able to take it, but just keep listening. Subsequent speakers will do justice to some of your questions. If at the end of the day you're not able to get answers to your question, you can contact them privately. So for Wunmi, let me put her back. This is sorry, I'm just going to take this out so that we can see her name. So this is her name, Wunmi Olotu. You can find her on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. This is her name. So just copy the name and search for her. She's happy to answer any further questions you have, even if you don't get responses from these subsequent sessions. And she's your go-to expert. Thank you again, Wunmi.
thank you.
So we are going straight to the next session, and we have Joey Dlamini. I hope I got her name correctly. I hope I pronounced it correctly. If I should tell me when she comes online. So I'm going to bring her up right now.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi Joey. It's
How
so
are
so wonderful to have you here. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm surviving load shedding.
She's surviving. Oh dear. Nice to have you here. So Joey is joining us from South Africa. Before we proceed, I need to tell you guys about Joey. Just give me a second. Meanwhile, if you've not met Joey before, just go to her social media page with that same name, Instagram. You become a parenting expert just by following her page. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I mean it. Her perspective is really, really insightful. So about Joey. Joey is a renowned parenting expert with a passion for normalizing the imperfect journey of parenting. As a mother of three and a qualified social worker, Joey has learned the value of parenting with passion and connecting through and connection through her own childhood experiences. She's the founder of Accentuated, a non-profit organization that provides a space where all genders can thrive. With her candid and practical advice, Joey challenges parents to connect with their children on a deeper level. Her dedication, hard work, and determination to raise well-rounded, confident children inspired her to write her very first book, The Teen Top 25 Foundational Life Lessons for a Thriving Journey to Adulthood. The book aims to start conversations between parents and children as they learn from each other and walk this journey together. Joey also works to help people unlearn and challenge limiting beliefs through her teachings on personal growth and development. She believes in the power of having real, honest conversations in safe spaces and is dedicated to providing a platform for people to heal and grow together. As a speaker and facilitator, Joey encourages people to embrace their imperfections and focus on building connections and living their best lives. Even me that is reading this now, I'm inspired already.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Joey. So Joey is going to be taking us on the topic becoming a safe space for your child, and I'm really, really excited. So I'm going to take the background now while you take the space.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So, as they've already introduced me, I'm Joey Dlamini. It's Dlamini from South Africa. So, I was thinking about it, creating a safe space for your child. That is something that I am very interested in and very passionate about. Where does it begin? How do you create a safe space for your child? I believe that it begins with you as the parent. And that is something that we have never done. Previously, as a parent, you will focus on your child, on their well being. You will focus on making sure that you can provide for them. And sometimes, while we are busy providing for them, we forget about ourselves. And once you start forgetting about you, that is why you end up not being able to create that safe space for your child, because it looks like this. For example, you come back from work, you are tired, and when you get home, your child, they did not do their chores. And all you are thinking is that after I have sacrificed so much, this child, they can't even do chores. But think about it. Have you ever set them down? Have you ever taught them and told them your expectation? Do you show them your humanity? In my book, I share about parents are human beings too. The reason I had that title and that chapter is because sometimes as parents, we forget to show that we are human beings with feelings, with fears, and our children end up taking us for granted, or they end up feeling like my parents can take it all. So sometimes the issue is not the kids. The issue is that we have not provided that space, or we have not taught them that I'm actually a human being. I can be your mom,
but I had dreams, or I still have dreams. I have fears. I get angry. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I don't feel like making dinner. But if you're not going to share those things with your kids, you won't be able to create a safe space for them. I saw that on the previous speaker, one of the questions was that how do we make sure that we have boundaries while also taking care of our kids? And I think a lot of us, especially as Black African parents, we don't want to be our kids' friends. We need boundaries. I need boundaries. I've got a teenager. Sometimes when I'm talking to him, he will be talking, English. I feel like English, I don't know if it's me. When it comes to English, I feel like some of the things the boundaries are not very clear. So when he's talking to me, sometimes I'll have to remind him that, hey, don't forget, I am your mother. What does that mean? It means that as much as you are able to speak to me, but how you speak to me, your tone, your approach, you need to be mindful of. So creating a safe space for your child, it looks like creating a space where they know that I can talk to mom, I can talk to dad. If I'm not comfortable about something, I can tell my parents and they will listen to me. Listening to you, it does not mean that they agree with you. You can disagree with your kids while also making sure that they still feel safe enough to come to you. One of the last questions I saw, it was asking about how young girls end up being molested and the abuser get away with it because young girls are so afraid to talk to their parents, because they are worried that if I confess and tell my parents, instead of hearing me, instead of believing me, they might take the side of the abuser. So creating a safe space where your child can feel like, this uncle, I don't like the way they touch me. And they can come to you and say, Mom, Uncle so touched me in this way and I didn't like it. And they know that when they come to you, you are not going to say, stop being a silly child. He's your uncle. Go and hug him. Where your child knows that when they say no, you are not going to say that the reason you are saying no is because you are naughty, but you are going to understand that you are raising an individual. And as you are raising an individual, they are discovering who they are. They are discovering what are they comfortable with. So I'm going to share some of the 4 things that I have learned while creating a safe space for my kids. Number 1, there needs to be open communication. No topic is off the table. Think about it. That means that they can talk to you about sex. They can talk to you about religion. They can talk to you about their values, about education. They can ask any question. And as a parent, your responsibility is to create that safe space that says, come and ask this question. And I know for most of us, it is not easy. Some of the topics, they are not easy because we were not taught those topics. We had to discover them later on as adults. But we don't want to raise kids who are misinformed. And now we are raising kids who have access to the internet, who have access to different television programs, who have access to so many people who are speaking to them. So don't you think it's better for them to know that there is that safe person, there is that person that I can trust? The world is saying that, hi, you are too old, by now you should be dating. Don't you want them to come and say, Mom, actually, my friends are saying that I should be dating. What are you saying as my mom? Even if it's uncomfortable for you. When people are saying, by now, you should start smoking, you should start drinking, don't you want them to come to you and say, this is the conversations I'm hearing outside. My friends have already started and they are saying that I am a late bloomer. Don't you want that? Don't you want your kids to be able to come and talk to you, even if you are not comfortable? I know that I want that. And I've accepted that part of being a parent is being uncomfortable. Parenting will bring a lot of discomfort, especially parenting in this era, in this century. It is completely different from how I was raised. So you need to have that open communication. Number two, you need to realize that you are not raising mini you. Ouch. That one is not an easy one for me to accept. I love academics. I've always been focused on academics. Can I tell you? I expected my kids to be mini me. I expected them to love reading as much as I did. But what I'm realizing is that they are not mini me. They are going to have different journeys from me. My responsibility is to guide them, is to have open conversations with them, is to allow them and create a space where they are able to ask the questions. I remember one of the conversation we had. My son said, going to varsity is not the only way to be successful. Everything in me was like, what do you mean? That is what I know, and it has worked for me. But on sitting down and being honest, I had to admit that there is some truth. But I went back to him with the knowledge and the experience that I have as his mother, where I explained that as much as, yes, university, it doesn't guarantee total success, but at least it's a foundation. If you don't have that qualification, it is going to be much harder for you. And when we had that conversation, he was able to see my point of view. That was not going to happen if, when he said, you know what, mom, varsity is not the only way, and I started shouting and I told him what does he think? Do you think he was going to listen to what I was saying? He was not going to listen to me, because already he was going to go out there and talk to his friends, and his friends were going to convince him that actually we don't need it. We don't need to go to varsity. We don't need to go to school. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. You know how people will use him as an example as if he did not go to Harvard. So, but they will give themselves those examples. Elon Musk, all these people that look like they are doing very well, they are famous, they are popular. They were going to use those people as an example. But because I have created that safe space, it allowed us to have that conversation. The other thing you need to take into account while creating a safe space is that sometimes your kids are going to say no. Do you find it easy to receive no from your kids? Can you please comment? Let me know. Are you okay with your child saying no to you for whatever reason? I would just like to feel the sense.
I had to I had to show up for this particular one, you know. Oh my god. That no part. It's difficult, to be honest. It's really difficult.
Yeah, you know what? Most of us, I personally, I'm also not okay with my child saying no to me, but I had to learn to be okay with it. Most of us, we are only learning now, especially as Black people, we are only learning now how to set boundaries. Some of us, we are stressed, we are depressed, we are frustrated because we are unable to set boundaries. Some of us are frustrated because we are saying yes to everyone. We are saying yes to families. We are saying yes to our kids. We are saying yes to our colleagues. And at the end of the day, we find ourselves very tired from saying yes, because now you do not have the mental capacity to take care of yourself or to do other things. So when I was looking at it, I was, those people who love saving everyone, the one where they know that when they call you, call Joey, they know Joey is going to be there. I will say yes to every function. I will say yes to every event. I say yes to everything, even when I was tired. Because for me, I felt that when I was saying yes, it showed that I love you. And it shows that I am committed. And it shows that I'm a hard worker. I think a lot of us, we were raised to be like that, where you must always say yes to everyone, besides saying yes to yourself. So one of the things I realized is that by me not being able to say no to others, I became resentful. I became very angry. And I realized that as a mom, by me saying yes to every request that my kids give me, one day I will end up being angry with them. You know, when your kids, they are older, they will have their own lives. They get married or they decide to travel, and you sacrifice your dreams, you sacrifice everything for them. Then you start being angry with them that I took care of you for so long. I gave up my career. I gave up my life. I gave up everything because I was taking care of you. And you know, these kids, they will tell you, did I ever ask you? Or did I ask you to bring me here? And it will be like they are being naughty or they are being ungrateful. But the truth is that the fact that you did not have boundaries, it is not your kids' fault. So you need to be okay with your kids being able to say no to you. It must start in the house, in the home, so that they will be able to do it in the street. As families, we are always complaining and concerned about our kids and peer pressure. So, how are you expecting your child to be able to say no to their friends or no to other influences that you do not like when they have never practiced that muscle? They have never done it. So, unfortunately, as parents, as families, we are the battleground for our kids. This is where they are supposed to practice and train those muscles. Before they go out there and start saying no to other people, they must start with you. They must start with saying no to you as their mom. They must start saying, no, mommy, I don't want to wear this dress. No, mom, I don't want to eat this one. I want to eat that one. Obviously, it will be within limits, and you will always make sure that it is in their best interest. But as parents, we need to be comfortable with hearing our kids say no, by teaching them how to say no and also how to accept no. It benefits them later on when they are in the workspace, when later on when they are married and have their own families, they are able to create boundaries. When they are at varsity, they are able to stand on their own and say, I am not interested in this because this is who I am. So, are you feeling better? Are you feeling better about receiving no, or is it still a hard one? I'm looking for.
We are waiting for comments. For me, I feel
Yes,
it's a learning process. It is.
but do you see the benefits of them to be able to say no?
Yes, I agree with you because right now, even in stress management for adults, right now, one of the things we are teaching is how to say no and stick by it. So, this is something we are teaching adults to learn because as children, we were not allowed to learn it. So, wow, thank you.
Exactly, exactly. And I think for us as black people, it is really a challenging one because a lot of us were raised by parents who did not accept or understand us saying no. And when we grow up, that is why it becomes such a challenge for us. And I will use this example. I always share about it that when you look at the workspace where you have people of other races, if you look at them, how confident they are, how assertive they are, and I believe that it's because of how they were raised. They were raised in environments that allow them to say no, that allow them to articulate how they feel, that allow them to ask questions. Yes, I see loving life with Liane. As I stated, context matters. Saying no to bad touch. Yes, we need to teach that. We absolutely do. And I think one of the things that right now where families will sometimes fight, I allow my kids, if they don't feel comfortable to hug someone, I allow them to say no. And it's a strange thing because for us, we used to hug everyone. They will say, "Oh, this is your uncle from what? They just came. Give them a hug. We'll give them a hug. Or give them a kiss. We'll give them a kiss." It was a norm for us. But for our kids and our current generation, it is a different matter. Some of our kids, they don't feel comfortable and they will say, and they are saying it in a respectful manner that, "Mama, can I please not hug that person?" And I feel that as adults, we should be able to understand and support even our friends. One of the things that I had to teach myself is that when I meet my friends' kids for the first time, they don't need to be very friendly with me. They do not know me. I'm a stranger. I need to earn their trust. Even my nieces and nephews that I have not met, I need to give them the space to see me and to trust me. So for us growing up, we were not given that space. We were just expected to have this instant connection with everyone. And if you dare refuse, it will seem like you are a bad child or a naughty child. So, the last one that I'm going to share is that you need to allow your kids to ask questions. One of the things that we try to suppress as parents is that kids are curious, they are naturally curious. And part of their development is that they are going to ask questions. They are going to try out things. Sometimes they will try to open up this toy because they want to see what's inside the toy. Sometimes they are going to just ask you random questions that you are not expecting. But that is part of learning. And one of the other things is that as they are learning, they need repetition. You can't just say something once and expect them to be okay with it. I usually make an example that as adults at our workspaces, we attend trainings, we attend workshops, we attend management appraisals. And what happens during that, we go for coachings because we understand that you cannot do something once and be an expert, but you need to continuously upgrade your skills, to continuously learn and get refresher courses and everything. But as adults, we do not give the same grace to our kids. We do not expect or give our kids that grace that, "Oh, this person, she is 5 years old, she is still growing. This person is 10 years old, he is still growing. This person is 16. Okay, there are things I can expect from them, but they are not 25. They are growing. And as they grow, there are different milestones. As they grow, there are different things that they will be able to achieve. And we need to understand. So, creating a safe space, it changes because of their developmental milestone. What you will do with a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old is different from a 16-year-old. Sometimes creating a safe space for a 16-year-old is allowing them to start going out without you, but also setting boundaries that if you go out 8 p.m., you are supposed to be home, or 7 p.m. Or if you go out, we need to be there, somewhere there, sitting and waiting for you. Or even how they consume technology, that if you cannot watch certain things. I don't know about you parents. One of the discussion we have with my kids is on the issue of parental guidance when it comes to programs. So they will say to me, I'll say, "You can watch that thing." They're like, "No, Mama, it says parental guidance. It says PG." So I have to keep on educating them that PG, it means that yes, you can watch it, but your parents need to say it's okay for you to watch it. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. Or they will show me, the 16-year-old was just showing me that, yo, finally I can watch this because it says 16. I'm like, no, if it says PG, it means I need to watch it, and after I need to decide if it is suitable for you or not. I would like if you have any questions so far or comment, so that as I'm speaking, we can go through them. Yes, I see Ramatu saying there is a lot of benefits of accepting no, but with cautions as well. Exactly, absolutely. I think I'm so glad. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's also important to understand the knowledge and information our parents had. Fortunately, this generation of parents has access to this type of conversation. Exactly. And one of the things I always say, our parents really tried their best with the resources that they had, you know. I agree with you. Our environment really matters. It really matters in how we are raising our kids. So, on several occasions, no to ventures to. No, I understand. It is not an easy thing to accept no from our kids, and also that is why it's important for us to have a conversation with our kids on how do they say no, because as much as you can say no, it does not mean that you must be rude. You know, I believe in something I term gentle honesty. You can be honest and be gentle. You don't have to be brutally honest, or you don't have to be rude. So you need to teach them about the tone. You can't say no to me in a rude way, because it's going to make me feel like, no, this person is disrespecting me. But if they are saying no in a polite way, in a way that they are still acknowledging that you are my parent and I respect you, but I feel like maybe we don't see things the same way. Yeah, Katie saying we can only imagine the number of kids who were abused because of these forced hugs and kisses and their inability to say no. That is sadly true. Hey, that is sadly true. And I think for a lot of us, if we can start this conversation, let us be careful to compare us to whites in their movies, though. I've grown up with whites, and the way some of them talk to their parents, so I completely agree with you. And hence I said, when it comes to English, I feel like there is that thin line, especially for us as Black Africans. There is that thin line. And that is why with my kids, I must always remind them that, okay, there is a way to share how you feel, there is a way to articulate yourself and still be respectful. My issue is that where you see people who are unable to advocate for themselves, who are unable to share how they feel, because we were taught to not ask questions or to even disagree with someone, you know, because you will see in families when there are issues and family members, instead of us coming together and addressing those issues, we will rather talk behind each other's backs, which I hate. Instead of coming and saying, I did not like Joey, I did not like how you spoke to me. Can you please in future? Instead, I go to someone else and talk about you, then there is all this fighting. I agree with you. It should never come to a place where we disrespect each other, but we should be able to address things. We should be able to communicate, even if we are scared. What is the minimum of no's we can accept from our children so that they won't abuse it? Okay, so for me, I feel like there are some battles that are not worth fighting. I'm going to give an example. The item, when it comes to what your child wants to wear, it shouldn't be such a big issue that you must always be fighting, especially when they are still small, because I've got a daughter, so she likes wearing tutus. And sometimes it's cold. So what I'm doing, instead of fighting about it, I will say, okay, you can wear it with long tights inside. Then it's done. She can choose what she wants to wear between two items. That is something that is not worth fighting for. Then also, when you create boundaries, you must agree about certain rules before it even happens. When it comes to technology, you need to agree about it, that okay, either if they have a phone, you will have your phone weekends instead of during the week, because during the week you need to focus at school. And when you have it at weekends, it's until this time. Or watching TV, if they're not watching TV during the week, that if you're watching TV, it must be by 10 o'clock you should be sleeping, or by 8 o'clock. It depends on the family. So, but you should not be saying no, no, no to everything. Your child says, "Can I have a butter?" No. "Can I have yogurt?" No. "Can I go play with my friends?" No. "Can I go see my aunt?" No. "Can I watch TV?" You are saying no to everything. At the end, the more you are saying no to them, they get used to it, and they are just going to push back, because it's like, what's the point of asking? They're just going to say no. How do you deal with a child that lacks concentration and always does what he wants just for? He's only 4 years old. Uh, I will I will suggest that if you do have access to a professional, maybe for a play therapy, he should go there, just for them to see what's happening. Or if there's the crèche or the school, if they actually have someone who works with kids, so that they can just talk to him. And also, maybe sometimes there is something that is beyond, and sometimes we do not know, or we do not see it, or the teachers, they do not have the resources that your child needs. Yes. Oh, I love what Thelma is saying. How you say to the no to the child also matters. I think we need something to explain to them why we say no. I completely agree with you. And I think that as Black parents, sometimes we used to feel like, why should I give you a reason? You are a child. If I said no, no is a no. Or we'll say, because I'm your mom, or because I'm an adult. But the truth is that if we want to raise kids who are critical thinkers, we need to start giving more than because I said so. When a child says no just because he doesn't want to do a job, and I'm supposed to ask him why, when I know he rather plays computer games than clean the house, no, that one you shouldn't. It goes back to what I said. If you have rules, you already have the rules that these are your responsibilities. Every day, maybe you are supposed to clean your bedroom, or you are supposed to wash the dishes. In Only after you can play your computer games. If he says no, he can't just say no. You just take the computer game, because you agreed on it. He knows what is expected. So, and it's not that our children are being manipulated, but they are being children, and they are being people. If they see a gap, they are going to use it. So as parents, we need to be consistent. If you said, if you do 1, 2, 3, the result will be 4, 5, 6. They must suffer the result of 4, 5, 6. I want to know if it is good to use question to answer question, and also laugh at their question is African, and does it have any psycho? I sometimes laugh at my kids. Sometimes I laugh because, sometimes you laugh at the audacity, like this child, and sometimes I will laugh like, are you being for real? Are you serious? No, as long as consistently you are always affirming them, you are reminding them that you love them, yeah, and you take them serious with other matters. And it's okay to have those moments where you joke, because if you don't joke with them, it becomes so serious. You'll be fighting all the time, which is going to affect them psychologically when they are in a place that is not warm, or that does not feel safe. How can one deal with the influence of peer pressure in children, especially those within the adolescent age? Yeah, that one it's such a good question. I'm working with teenagers, and my book is about teenagehood and the issue of peer pressure. To work with that, you need to make sure that it starts from when they are babies. You need to create that firm foundation where they are able to come and talk to you, and they trust you. They must trust you. Your child must trust that my parents, they want what is best for me. So that when even their friends and other influences come, even if they are tempted, they will always come back to you and want and feel like, no, maybe this is wrong. Peer pressure is going to be there. We can't run away from it. That is why we need to build our kids' self-confidence. They must not go out there seeking for love or affirmation. They need to know that they are enough from their homes. So that when someone says that, let's go out drinking so that you can be our friends, they must be okay to be rejected. They must be okay to know that they can be alone. And it really starts with all that we are doing right now. It starts with us loving them and communicating our love and communicating how proud we are to them, because in their teenage years they just want acceptance. And if we do not make them feel that they are accepted in the family, they are going to seek it from outside, from wrong people, from people who are just waiting for them to come and give them that fake love or that fake acceptance. So just make sure that when they are still little, give them that love. Remind them, tell them who they are, remind them of their identity, because most of them, they do not really know who they are. They are trying to find themselves. So be one of those voices that is telling them, this is who you are. You are someone who's firm. You know who you are. How do we balance setting boundaries and accepting no from our kids without appearing permissive in everything? Yeah, that is actually a good question. So a lot of parents, they and a lot of people, they sometimes confuse permissive parenting with conscious parenting. Permissive parenting is saying yes to your child for everything, even if it's going to harm them. So it is allowing a 5-year-old to be playing in the street at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Is allowing your child to watch TV from the morning until the evening. That is not loving your child. When you love your child, you are going to say no. We need to accept that there will be times where you have to say no for their own sake. What is important is how are you saying that no, and when do you say it? Do you say no only when you are angry, but when you are happy, you are in a good mood, or you are distracted, you say yes? And we need to make sure that we do not confuse our children. If today you say that your bedtime is 8 o'clock, and tomorrow, because you are happy for some reason, then they're like sitting looking at you and they see you are not saying anything at 8 o'clock, you are confusing them. It must be consistent. If bedtime is 8, it must continue to be 8, even when you are happy, even when you have a party, even if they did well. So it needs you to be consistent and to articulate it in a way that always your love for your kids comes through.
Thank
I
you so
see the yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If we leave you, we still have questions for you. Like people will finish you with questions because we have so many questions regards to parenting. Like
Yes.
I still
Yeah.
have my own question. Let me just ask my own question. With regards to accepting no from a child, especially from a toddler, is there any hack to just stay calm when they're just telling you that no? That no is like they don't even you don't even need to prompt them. Like it's in their subconscious, the first word they're going to say whenever you ask anything. Like my daughter, if I just tell her, what's it, pick this thing up, next thing is no. Like even if she would do it later, but that no comes first. Oh my god. Like I think it should be up to like 500 no's in a day. So how can I just stay calm and absorb all the no's without getting angry and
No. Unfortunately, it's part of their developmental milestone, saying no. So it
Yeah.
shows that she is
Mhm.
growing the way she's supposed to. So it's a great thing for her, not for the parent, but for her, it's a great thing. So their only hack is to embrace it and understand and give her choices. Give her choices instead of giving her one option. Because now she wants to show that she's got her own brain and she can decide. So give her choices. Don't just give her one thing. Because if you give her one thing, she will always say no. So rather, instead of saying, go and pick up that, do you want go and pick? It's either you pick up that or you fall dead. Then she will choose which one. Make her do two things. She's going to say, no, I'll do that one, Mama. Go to that one. Then you got your win. Even when it comes to their clothes, give them two options that okay, which one are you wearing between these two? And choose the ones you know that you already wanted to go. If she chooses one, you are fine with it. So you need to start giving them. And I know it's a lot of work because we come from work or you are going to work or you have no time to be busy giving someone who's 4 years old options. But you need to do it because that is the season of parenting that you are in.
I agree. The choices work for me. I agree because sometimes the choices I have when I'm tired is either you do it or you go to bed. of course, of course, I don't want to go to bed, so I don't even have time to create more options. Hey God, God help us in this parents, especially for
No, we
this.
need Yeah, it needs God, it needs community. You know that saying that it takes a village to raise a child. We really need to go back to that where
It's
we
true.
have people who are supporting us. We really can't do it alone. You need a village. You need people who can call and say, I'm tired. Can you please come and take your nephew or your niece just for an hour? I need a break. So we need a village.
That's the advantage of living in Africa. For those of us in the UK, who do we call?
We call us.
It's not
We
it's not advantage of I live in Africa and I do not have a village. You see,
Like
that's the advantage
living
of
back
living in a
home, like
place
yeah,
like
living in
so I
our
would
own home.
say it's like the advantage of living in a place where your family is.
Exactly.
Because some people are in I know a lot of people that we immigrated to Cape Town together, some of them have left to different countries. Like I
yeah.
know someone whose family immigrated to the USA, and she immigrated to the USA because her family is there, you see. So if I immigrate to the UK now, my family is in UK now, so if I immigrate to the UK, I'm okay, I've got my village. So I would say it's about
No,
where your
you
family
must
is.
also create it. You must also create it. One thing
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me,
that's
I'm
the
here in Joburg.
that's the
So
thing.
my family is in Limpopo. I'm in Joburg. So the
Mm,
people who are supporting me, they are my friends who are
mm,
now my family. And it's so
yeah.
cute. My kids like, oh, you are my cousin. They actually think they are cousin because we've been here. Who is my
All the
auntie?
way.
So also friends, getting real friends with similar values. It
That's true.
also
It just can be quite difficult to create a community. That I know it can be
is
because just like you said, they all have to have the same values like you. Like, do they want to raise your like? I've been in a situation where like my child was drumming and was making the noise, and this other person was like, "No, no, 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 keep quiet." But I'm this person like, "No, no, 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 I don't want my child to keep quiet." You see, so there's
exactly.
conflicting values. So Joey was really right. If you're trying to create your own village, if you do not have the normal or the regular, village that we have, you have to find people with the same mindset. So for people who are outside that do not have the village, for me, I do not have a village yet because it's just my husband and I. A lot of the village that I have immigrated, so it's my husband and I. But we always find a way, like to find to like balance it up. Or you stay with the kids while I rest. You like right now. I'm here. It's with the kids, so we always kind of try to do that. Maybe if one of the kids is sick, you sleep while I stay awake, so when in the morning that I can be awake, then okay. So we are learning after so many years not to be burnt out at the same time. You see,
Yeah.
so yeah. There's always ways around everything.
Thank you so much, Joey. Thank you so much for that insightful session.
Yeah,
At
it
least
was.
I can go. I know that once I leave this place and my daughter sees me and I tell her to do something, she's going to tell me no. But at least I know what to do next. I'll just calm myself down and see it as a way of a development, and being
Yeah,
firm
it
with
is.
saying no as an adult is a learning for her that is very important. So
And Joey was really right. No is the first sentence. My first child, the first word he learned how to say is no. Because
even
we are
when
always saying no to them. You see,
Exactly.
we you want to do say no, get down from there. No, where do you think they pick no from? From us, from teachers. They want to do things as kids like no, get down, no, no. So they pick it from us. My first-year old, the first word is no. The second child I have, who is 2 now. Now he even does the push no, no. So I'm always laughing. You want him to think, where is nappy? No. And he says with so much seriousness. But just like Joey says, sometimes we respect it. And sometimes the African mother in me comes out. I'm like,
Yeah.
Ogeni, come and wear your nappy. You see, even with the no. But I'm learning. As African mothers, I think there's a lot of unlearning. So
Yes.
I'm learning that, okay, like for instance, we fight with bedtime with my 2-year-old. My oldest son knows, my 7-year-old knows that, oh, it's time to go to bed. But 2 year was like, I don't want him not, no, no, no. So
Yeah.
now I'm learning to respect my child and say, okay, you've got 10 minutes more. Even though it's 2 and he doesn't fully understand, but
Yes.
he
Yes.
somehow knows when I say, oh, 10 minutes more. Before the African mother just switch off the thing and they're like, oh yeah, let's go to bed. But I'm learning to be intentional and say, okay, 10 minutes more, 10 minutes more, 10 minutes more. And then I take him. Even if he still says no, I still switch it off and then I take him to bed. But
thank you
you
so
see,
much. Thank you so much, Joey. We need to leave. We need to allow you rest now. Thank you so much.
Man.
thank you so
Man.
much, Joey. Thank
Thank
Really
you.
you.
appreciate
So
you.
you will remove me, right?
Yeah, don't worry, we'll remove you, but we need to say thank you first before we remove you. So you can find Joey Dlamini. Yeah, I got her name now. You can find her
Yes.
on social media, Instagram. This is her name, Joey Dlamini. This is the
Yes.
same name she has on Instagram, and her page is really, really insightful. I can attest to that. So just follow her. We are really grateful. Thank you guys. Let's appreciate her in the comments. We are really, really grateful. And then our next speaker is here already. We will be having Dr. Emmanuel Akpe, and he's going to be teaching us about how to help our children manage their stress. Before he comes on, I'm going to ask you to do one thing and then tell you a brief information about him before I even share about his profile. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay? I'm really pleading. We need you to subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe right now while we are still talking. And then the second thing is please share this broadcast with your audience. You and I know that we are sharing things that are really insightful here that many more people need to learn, because parenting should be enjoyed. It shouldn't be a struggle. It should be enjoyed. And that's what we are learning here too. We are learning here today. So this next one is coming from a stress management expert. He's been in the field long before I came into the field as a Nigerian. And then since the inception of this stress management summit, he has been a consistent speaker. If there is a award that should be given, he deserves it, because this is a man that when he speaks, you will listen and you'll be transformed. That's why if somebody has spoken in an event consecutively for 4 years, you know that there is some value, like a very, very high value that we don't want to miss every year, that we keep getting from him. And that's why we've brought him back again to impact, to really impact. So while we bring him on, I'm going to tell you guys about Dr. Emmanuel Akpe. Uh, I'm going to share a just wait a second. Let's welcome him in the comments while I read his profile. So meet Dr. Emmanuel Akpe. He is a UK-based stress management coach. and the Director or Chief Executive Officer of TSM Wellness Limited, a stress management and wellness center based in Abuja, Nigeria. He has a project management he is a project management professional and also has HSE Health Safety and Environment certification. He is also a doctor of holistic medicine certified by the University of America, Netherlands, and is currently an MSc psychology student at Liverpool John Moores University here in the UK. Dr. Emmanuel is an international conference speaker, a stress management consultant, a radio and TV analyst on stress management, and an author. He has spoken to over 200 different organizations, including international organizations, government agencies, corporate organizations, churches in Nigeria, and other parts of the world. He pioneered a movement in Nigeria where he educated individuals and corporate organizations on the benefits of stress management. He coaches a community of over 12,000 people weekly on managing stress and becoming productive. His radio and TV programs have reached over 20 million people, incorporating holistic medicine into stress management. He has written 4 books: Office Palaver, Handling Work-Related Stress, The Stress Manager's Guide, How Do I Escape COVID-19 Stress, and 40 Years But Trapped in a 70-Year-Old Body, which is his latest book, available on Amazon and his website. He's married to his wife, Joyce, and they are blessed with a son. And he didn't include this one, but I need to let you guys know that he created a course called how to manage your stress, how to help your child manage your stress, or stress management for children. So you can imagine that he's just the perfect person to take this topic, you know. So let's welcome Dr.
Yeah.
Emmanuel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ezinne. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. So I want to be sure that I'm being heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Yeah, it's true. We started this. We've been there from the beginning, and I'm happy to also be here. In fact, I canceled a journey to, or rather, I shifted it. A journey I'm supposed to make to London this evening. I had to shift it to tomorrow morning because of this program, and I'm so happy to be here. You can't say no to someone like Dr. Ezinne, who has been consistent for the past 4 years. It takes a lot of consistency for you to actually get to this level where she is. One thing that has distinguished me in my profession as a stress management coach is consistency. I remember when we started talking about stress management, I will offer to do free trainings and nobody was listening. I will offer to do radio programs, nobody was listening. But at some point before I left Nigeria, stress management was a hot cake. I had invitations almost everywhere because of consistency. So people are beginning to see that they really need this thing. So I'm so happy to handle this very topic that has to do with children. Children. Because if you can help children live well, they will not grow up as dysfunctional adults. So if you can help children to grow up wholesomely, you know, there's a word that Jesus always uses anytime he heals someone. He say, your faith has made you whole. Although the person was healed, but the person was not made whole. So this teaching is an attempt to help you raise a wholesome child, a child that is complete mentally, physically, and otherwise. And that is why we are here. So I discovered that a lot of parents are struggling to manage their own stress. And because of that, they have no idea that their children also undergo stress. In fact, the greatest misconception or the greatest myth that I've heard is the fact that children don't experience stress. That is the greatest error that you can ever imagine, that children don't experience stress. In fact, it is the stress that children experience that they translate into adulthood. And you see the child misbehaving, or you see the child going into drugs, into prostitution, and all manner of things. It's as a result of a combination of all the stress that they have experienced from when they were born to the point where they become teenagers. A combination of, or a sum total of all that stress is what forms the adult. So if you don't know how to help your child manage stress, you are going to mislead that child. You are going to get that child to a level where he doesn't have the ability to take charge of his life. Because what I'm going to teach you is how to help your child and give them that coping ability to be able to manage whatever stress that they are going through. I remember as children, when we face challenges in the house and we try to communicate it to our parents, they just shut us down. Shut up, what do you know? Can you get out of here? Or they just tell us, my friend, keep quiet, you're always talking, you're a talkative. And many parents have actually used that to destroy the destinies of their children, because you feel that your child is a talkative. Your child is trying to express something that he or she is going through. But because you are so much engrossed in your own affairs, you are selfish. You are not paying attention to the person God gave you to help train and to help manage. Because of that, you are turning that person to become dysfunctional. So it is very important that we learn how to manage stress in children, how to help children manage stress. Before I go into how to help children manage stress, I want to say a little bit, maybe like in the next 5-10 minutes, talk about how you yourself can manage stress. Because the truth is this: if you cannot manage your own stress, you cannot manage that of your child. That is the truth. So there is nothing like okay, let me just learn how to manage that of my child. Me, I can take care of myself. You cannot take care of yourself. I discovered that people are easily triggered. People are easily frustrated. A lot of people are experiencing stress, financial stress, marital stress, domestic stress, and all manner of stress. And they are transferring this aggression onto their children. So if you don't know how to manage your own stress, how will you manage that of your child? How will you manage that of your child? So that is a question you're going to ask yourself. So what exactly is stress? Stress is actually the way the body, now, not you now, your body, respond to events that are happening around it. So your body can respond, your mind can also respond. So stress is the event. Stress is not the event, sorry. Stress is your response to the event. Let me say that again. Stress is not an event. Stress is your response to that event. Your response physically, that's your body, and your response psychologically, that is your mind. If your response physically is bad, the body begins to break down gradually because of the hormones that are released. Of course, you know that if the body is experiencing stress, the body releases a hormone called cortisol. And that cortisol, if it stays longer in the body or in the system, can begin to have adverse effects on the body. So, and that can destroy the body itself. What of the mind? Stress can actually have severe impact on the mind to the point that you can lose your mind, or you can enter into deep emotional pain because of the stress that affects the mind or psychological stress. In fact, psychological stress actually darkens the mind and make people do things that they will be asking themselves, am I the one that actually did this? Am I the one that actually did this? Because of the impact of what they actually did. Okay, let me put it this way. Have you ever experienced someone who all of a sudden you just offended the person, just a little thing, something that is very minor, and the person just opens up a can of worms, and you are imagining your action is not equivalent to the person's reaction? What is happening? The person is exhibiting mental stress, which he has bottled up over a period of time. So it might not be necessary, it may necessarily not be you that is making the person explode like that. It might be accumulated stress. So except you learn how to manage this stress, you will not be able to help your child manage his or her own stress. That is just the fact. So what do you do to manage your stress? What do you do to manage your stress? The first thing is you must identify that you are under stress. Most times we trivialize stress. We will say, I know I'm under stress, but don't worry, I will overcome. I made a post sometime, and the post was actually to help people check their stress level. And I saw a lot of people saying that I've checked and my stress level is very high. Don't worry, it will come down. After all, the Nigerian system automatically puts you in a stressful mood, or the word system, because there's war all over the place. So ordinarily these people have accepted the fact that they are under stress, but they have not accepted the fact that they can manage that stress. So they have come to accept the fact, and they have come to live with the stress. The worst thing that can happen to you is for you to live with your stress, for you to say, let me just continue managing this stress and just continue staying with it. You know what I mean? It's just like cohabiting with your abuser. So this stress is abusing you, but let me just keep doing it. When you get to that point, that means you are actually headed in the wrong direction. So identify that you have stress, seek for solution. In an attempt to seek for solution, I will prefer some here, but there are others that you will need professional advice. If the stress has become chronic and it's actually hampering your social life, your activities, everything happening around you is being hampered because of this stress, that is why you should know that you need professional help. Okay, so what do you do actually when you are experiencing stress? The first thing you need to do is check the impact on the mind, control what goes around in your mind. The body is a slave of the mind. It means that the mind can control the body. So what it means is that I can control what goes into my mind. For instance, if somebody offended me, and I feel I should be happy, I should be angry with the person, I can decide to let go and just tell the person, okay, don't worry, it's nothing. Don't worry, I've forgiven you. By just taking that simple step of saying, don't worry, I've forgiven you, you have you have released a heavy load of stress, on your mind. It takes so much energy to be angry with someone. It takes so much energy to be bitter and looking for a way to revenge. It takes so much energy. So it means that if you are able to let go of that energy, you have released a huge amount of the things that would have caused you stress, and your life will come back to normal. The second thing you need to do is you need to do physical activities. A lot of adults don't do physical activities. They don't exercise. They don't do work stuffs like that can help them release a hormone which is called serotonin, that can help you manage your stress level. They they don't do all that. So they just live a sedentary life, from house to the office, from office to church, from church back to the house, just like that. They don't go out, they don't socialize, they don't do anything. Their life is just like that. So if you're living that kind of life, it is most likely that you're going to experience stress. So you need to socialize, you need to go out. The more you meet people, the more your stress level drops. The more you interact with people, the more your stress level drops. Of course, the people I'm talking about are people that are reasonable, people that rub off their joy on you. You know that stress is contagious. So it means that if I'm a happy going person and I decide to actually meet someone who is under severe stress, if I'm not careful, he can transfer the stress to me. So stress is actually contagious. So you need to be careful of people that are around you. You need to pay attention. Now, um, while mentioning other types of stress management, I will mention it when I'm talking about that of children. So you can also apply, because the stress management strategies you are going to use for your child, you can also use it for yourself. Very, very important. Very, very important. So let's move on. It is absolutely important for you to learn how to manage the stress in your child, so that your child can grow up and be able to manage things. Your child can grow up and be responsible. Be responsible. I'm not saying the child is not going to make mistakes. Of course, the child is going to make mistakes, but the child will be responsible. So let's go straight to stress in children. Stress in children refers to the physical and emotional responses that occur when a child experiences a demand or a threat that exceeds their ability to cope. So what this means in essence is that the kind of pressure that the child is experiencing is beyond their capacity. And sometimes we think that we use ourselves as adults to judge our child, or our children, in the sense that if a child makes a mistake that you as a parent make on a regular basis. Let me give you a typical mistake. A child breaks a pot or a glass cup or whatever it is in the kitchen, which is also a mistake that you make on a regular basis. You descend on the child, you beat the child to stupor. So the pressure, the stress you are putting on that child is beyond the child's capacity to cope. Because of that, the child will become withdrawn. The child will be so scared of making mistakes. That is why we have a lot of children that are afraid of venturing into the future. They don't want to move into or take bold steps because they are afraid that they might make mistakes. So what are you raising? You are raising children who are so scared of life, because that is, you instilled in them that fear. So once a child experiences stress, it has some impact on their body. Some of the impacts are a series of psychological changes, which everybody knows as fight or flight response. So it's either the child want to fight you. Of course, the child cannot fight you, but you see that in his behavior. Maybe he'll just murmur or just behave one kind and just angrily go to one place and go and sit down. The child is actually fighting you. You know the way children are. Children actually respond to you in their mind. They might not respond to you physically, because you will definitely descend on them or beat them. So they respond to you in their mind. So if you say a child should kneel down, it is possible that the child is standing in his mind, but he's kneeling down physically because of that response. So a series of response takes place, and sometimes if this child is not prepared or has not learned the strategies for managing stress, that child will begin to experience some physical symptoms that can even lead to some diseases. Most of the children that are always coming down with typhoid, malaria, fever. In fact, sometimes the fever might be insidious, unknown cause. And you are wondering, how come this child is always having fever? When you go to the hospital, sometimes they do malaria tests, they do check for typhoid or a full blood count, and the child is perfectly fine. Everything is okay, but the child is running fever. Most likely, that child is being abused by the parents. Because when a child is under stress, because the immune response or the immune system is rather immature, the child's response, immune response to the stress becomes low. So the immune system of the child drops drastically. Because of the drop in the child's immune system, the child develop all kinds of sickness. And common among them is fever. So once the body becomes hot, it means that the child is experiencing. Of course, there are other causes of fever, other causes, of course, many of them. But I'm just narrating this in response to stress. Let's move forward. So what are some of the signs you will see in a child to tell you that the child is experiencing stress? There are some things you see in a child, and it will to tell you that this child is experiencing stress. I want to mention some of them. Chief among them is fear. Fear, very, very important. When your child is under stress, fear is the first thing that the child experiences. Fear is the first thing that the child experiences. Why does the child experience fear? Because most children are scared of abuse, trauma that you are going to give to them. So most times they are so scared and they want to withdraw into their shell. So if you see a child that is being abused, the first thing you notice is fear. The child is basically afraid of everybody because of the kind of emotional and physical abuse that the child has been subjected to. So let me give you some of the categories. Apart from fear, let me give you some of the categories. So the first category is physical symptoms. Physical symptoms are some things like headache, stomach ache, fatigue, changes in appetite, and even sleeping pattern. The child has refused to sleep, he doesn't sleep, or the child doesn't eat as he used to eat. You know, there are some children that used to eat very well. In fact, they are consumers, but after some time, they just stop eating. Check very well. The child might be experiencing stress somewhere. It might not be in the house, but it might be in their school or anywhere else. So the second group of symptoms or signs are the emotional signs. The emotional signs examples are irritability. The child becomes so irritable and always angry, becomes moody, anxious, and tearful. Any little mistake, the child is already crying. So that child does not have capacity to go through stuff without breaking down emotionally. In this particular case, the child has a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness because the child knows, the child can sense that the parents cannot help him or her. So they are totally helpless about the situation and they are always sad. Another group is the behavioral sign. In the behavioral sign, you notice some behavioral changes. And I want to say this. Anytime a child is doing something that the parents might not be happy about, you will notice that the behavior changes. Anytime a child is being sexually harassed by a relative, an uncle, or a parent, or even a parent, the first thing you will notice is a change in behavior. A change in behavior. It's either the child becomes withdrawn from people, and I'm talking because I've handled cases like that while in Nigeria. I've handled a lot of cases where the child becomes withdrawn and the parents are wondering. In fact, there was a particular case that the mother asked me to come and speak to the daughter because the daughter was totally withdrawn. And when I started talking to her, I discovered that there was a singular event that happened, that somebody almost sexually harassed her. and it was a relative. And she was so angry that the mom didn't notice this. Because of that, she became withdrawn, always on herself. So she can be in her room for hours without speaking to anyone. So I was able to speak to her. I was able to encourage her before, gradually she started coming out. As I'm talking to you now, she's a graduate. She's a lawyer. She has gone to law school. She has served, and she's doing her master's now, just within a period of a few years. Her whole life has changed. So you must watch out for some of these signs. If you cannot identify the signs of stress in your child, you have missed it. You have missed it. I always know when my son is not happy. I always know. Or maybe something happened in school. The way he greets me changes. Some of us don't pay attention to these things. So you just think, well, it's not your own that is my problem now. I have things to do. I have my own issues. Don't bring your own and put on my own. That is a very wrong approach. So watch out for changes like being withdrawn or displaying an aggressive or impulsive behavior. All of a sudden, the child just decide to spark or just shows a level of anger that has never happened before. Watch out, something is wrong. Or the child becomes so quiet. Watch out, something is wrong. The next group of signs is what is called regression. In regression, the child experiences stress and decide to become withdrawn. Decide to withdraw to himself. So in regression, you can see things like physical signs like bedwetting, thumb sucking, tantrums. So the child is gradually getting withdrawn, and because of that, the body system is not taking it the way it should, and you see some children bedwetting. Most of the children that bedwet is because of the amount of stress they are going through every day. That is part of the reason, although not wholly that, but that could be part of the reason. So if you're able to identify that, you might be able to get them out of it. Then you see things like social withdrawal. So all these signs, you will see that there's withdrawal in it. There's withdrawal in it. That is a primary way you can tell if a child is undergoing stress. A sense of withdrawal. The child moves on and just stays on his or her own. So you find out that you know that this child is actually experiencing stress. So now we're going straight to the how to manage it. It is very important for us to learn how to manage stress as children. I actually wrote a course, although before the end of the training, I'm going to say one or two things about it. But I actually wrote a course. The reason why I wrote this course is actually because I discovered that, okay, let me turn the position of this. I think the sound is, sorry about this. Just give me a minute. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening in UK. The sun is becoming like Nigerian sun. so so let's move on. Let's move on. Very important. Let's move on. As I was saying, you actually need to learn how to manage some of this stress. And I discovered that parents hardly know how to manage their stress. So in the course that I actually did, the course is directly at children, teaching them how to manage stress. So it's like stress management strategies for children, how to manage bullying, how to manage issues, fear of the dark. A lot of children are scared of the dark. There are some children that if you tell them to go to the next room, if it is dark, they can never go. That is fear. And that fear can can actually trigger stress. So you can teach, you can help the child or encourage the child to come out of that kind of stress through some certain strategies which I mentioned in those training. And the good thing about the training is that it's in video form, and it's more like a cartoon like, so the child will be so much interested in watching it. Of course, my son was the will I say the editor, because I was like, if he will enjoy it, other children in his age will also enjoy it. And he was one that was telling me, okay, daddy, this is good, this is okay, this can go, this cannot go. That is it for you. So you feel that children don't know much. They don't know. Children of nowadays are so wise that you'll be wondering where they got their wisdom from. You may be hiding some things from them, but they know. They are just playing along with you. Just let me just use that word, fooling you, thinking you don't know, but they know these things. So let's go down to strategies on how to help your child manage stress. The first thing you need to do is to encourage open communication. There are a lot of parents that their children are scared of them. Their children are scared of them. There are a lot of parents that their children cannot look at them face to face, eyeball to eyeball, and talk to them. When their children is talking to them, they will be looking downwards this way. So, because of so much abuse, so much things that you have done to them, I said this last Saturday in one training, a similar training like this, and I said that as a child, let's liken a child to a seed. If you plant a seed on the ground, what helps the seed to grow? I want to mention three things. Choose one, and I want to see it in the comments. Is it lightning? Is it thunder? Or is it showers or rain? I want to see your response in the comments. Is it thunder, lightning, or rain? What helps your seed to grow? I'm waiting. So what exactly helps your seed to grow? Is it thunder? Is it lightning? What exactly? So once I get a response, then I'll continue. Yeah, rain. Nkiru says rain. Yeah. Carol, rain. Rain. That's it. Rain. So let me give you this analogy. Rain is spoken words. Thunder is shouting. Lightning is extreme madness. Let me put it that way. So your child is a seed God gave to you to manage, and you are using thunder, lightning. You can't converse with your child. You can't sit down with your child one-on-one and speak to your child as if you're speaking to another human being. You talk down on the child. You shout on the child. So the child is trying to explain to you what happened in the school. So and so teacher did this or did that. You shout on the child. You rain thunder and lightning on the child. So how will the child grow? Imagine that there's a seed that you planted, and all that is happening around that seed is thunder and lightning. The seed can never grow. That is why a lot of children are just growing physically. Mentally, they are babies. They are still at the seed level mentally. So you see a big boy, a teenager, but mentally, the way he thinks, the way he reasons, the way he handles issues is still a seed, is still a child of 2 years. Because all you are feeding the child is thunder, lightning. But do you know you can actually communicate with your child and come down to their level? Don't reason with your child at your own level. Reason with your child at their level. Think of what they need. Ask them questions. Even if their answers are foolish, it doesn't matter. So during some of the trainings that we did here in UK, I did a training on health and safety, and they said even if the decision, health and safety comes with privacy, dignity, and all that. So they said even if the decision of the person you are working with is not wise, he has the right to his own decision. He has the right to his own opinion. The opinion might be foolish. It doesn't matter. He still has the right. So your child's opinion might be very foolish. He has the right to his opinion. You need to listen to him. When you listen to him, hear him out, then you get to a level where you can now move him up to your level. Have you noticed that there are some children that reason as adults? And one was trained with rain, with words. As you are speaking words, you are speaking rain over them. The other one was trained with thunder and lightning. So because of thunder and lightning, that seed refused to grow. So though physically is an adult, but mentally is a child. If you understand this, you will never hit or beat any child. You will never hit or beat any child. You will seek to understand them. You will communicate with them. Very, very important. If you don't communicate with your child, another person will communicate with your child. Don't judge them. Provide empathy and support. Let them know that you understand what they are going through. It is very important for you to let your child know that you understand what they are going through. I understand. I was a child too. I understand all the stress of school. When I was doing promo for the course that I did on children, somebody said, does a child experience stress? I was just laughing because things like exam, things like lecture, going to school is stress for the child. You see some children, they are so scared of going to school. They are so scared of exam. Don't you remember when you wanted to write your JAMB? I remember when I wanted to write JAMB, I have never been that scared in my life. I wrote my JAMB in Lagos. The day I wrote the JAMB, in fact, the night before the day I went for my JAMB, I didn't sleep. I kept waking up because I was so apprehensive. That was a defining moment in my life. If I fail it, no university education for me. So I was so stressed. The stress persisted until the result came out. Imagine, and you feel that these young ones, they are not experiencing stress. It is with the adults now we sabi wetin stress be. It is a lie. It is a lie. So you must empathize with them. You must support them as much as you can. I want you to also teach your children relaxation techniques. Teach them breathing exercises. Tell them to count 1 to 20 anytime they are angry. This thing works like magic. It works like magic. Tell your child to count 1 to 20 anytime he's angry. So anytime somebody offends your child, and children get angry for all manner of things that are doesn't even make sense. So tell the child to close his eyes and count 1 to 20. By the time you finish counting 1 to 20, the anger must have subsided. If the anger is still there, you should extend it to 50. So those are the things that you should teach your child. Teach your child breathing exercise, that when you are angry and you see your child fuming, reporting the younger one to you. This is also Olufumi. Look at what John did to me. Look at what Michael did to me. Out. When you do that for your child, for the child like 10 times, then tell the child to report. You will see that atmosphere changes. The child that was panting, that could not even talk because he's losing his breath, will calm down and begin to narrate what happened. Of stress to the state of peace. And that is basically what stress management is, to move you from the state of stress, restlessness, to the state of peace. So it means that if the whole world is crumbling and I can protect my peace, I will not be stressed out. Very, very important. So teach your child relaxation technique. A few ones, you don't need to go in details. Then make sure your child engages in physical activities. Tell your child to engage in physical activities. It could be mental activities, it could be physical, it could be games. Don't allow your child to be so addicted to the screen that it doesn't have any life aside the screen. So you see some children, they go for parties. Instead of socializing, you because you don't want them to disturb, you just give them your phone to play with. And the child is there, instead of socializing, he's playing with his phone. At the end of the day, the child is totally lost, cannot engage, cannot initiate a common discussion. And those are the people you see on social media that are always dragging people, looking for who to drag. Today they almost dragged me, and I evaded it. I know some of my mentors that usually enjoy dragging, because the more you drag them, the more followers come to them, and the more the algorithm favors them, and the thing actually works. So these people that are dragged, they are the people that were not well trained on how to socialize, how to initiate conversation, how to speak to another person. The fact that you disagree with someone, or you don't toe the person's line, no matter how stupid the person's line is, the fact that you don't toe it doesn't mean you should talk down on the person, or call the person all manner of names. It doesn't work that way. So another point is, ensure your children are having healthy lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle is being practiced in sense of diet, in sense of sleeping, screen time, and all round everything happening around them. You need to put these things in control. You need to make sure that their lifestyles are healthy. Very, 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 very important. Make sure their lifestyles are healthy. Okay, there are some children that they've been trained to eat junk food. You see them taking noodles, all manner of snacks. So the child can barely eat wholesome fruits and vegetables. There are children that don't taste fruit and vegetables. Once you give them any fruit or any vegetable, they will throw it away, because that is the parents have not been able to train them to be able to take it. When you initiate it initially, the child will be repulsive about it. But after some time, they will start accepting it. Of course, that is the process of training. You must train your child to recognize healthy food. Train your child to recognize junk food. There are some children, they are basically round. They are basically round because of obesity. So you see a child that is just 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, 10 years, depending, and the body is 40 years. So a 10-year-old child is carrying the body of a 40-year-old man. And you are telling me that that child is healthy. The tummy is so big, everywhere is big. How won't that child come down with diabetes? How won't that child come down with different diseases, even stroke, heart conditions, when the child's body is already matured? So the child is having sicknesses that adults experience because of bad diet. I don't have a lot of time to share the issues about these bad diets, but I'm sure that if you follow me, I'm always talking about it on Facebook. We'll definitely talk about it one of these days. You definitely see it on my page though. So help them manage their time. That's another point. Help them manage their time. So it means that your children must be prompt. Don't allow them to go late to school, because when your child develops bad time management, it affects them in adulthood. So make sure they wake up very early in the morning, they go to school, they keep to time. Help them prioritize, help them to select the things that are important. For instance, if your child has homework, the child shouldn't be seen playing around. Play can wait until homework is done. When he's done with homework, then he can reward them with a time of play. Very, very important. So help them manage time, help them prioritize, help them stay organized. Organize their life for them. How do you organize their life for them if your life is not even organized? Do you know that there was a research that was done, and it was said that children who are raised in an environment, let's say houses that are not organized, grow up to become aggressive, grow up to become criminals. So you can actually Google it. It was a research that was done. Than children that grow up in very dirty environments. When I mean dirty environment, the area is a ghetto. The house, when you enter into the house, the stench and the odor that come from the house, you're asking yourself, is this a house or a zoo? So when children grow up from that environment, it will take the special grace of God for them to actually grow up to become healthy adults, because the environment is already aggressive and stressful. So if your environment is not okay, you need to make your house, at least your immediate environment, okay. I've seen some people that are living in ghetto, but if you enter their houses, it's as neat and clean as anything else, and they don't joke with that, despite the fact that they are living in a suburb because of their financial capabilities. But inside their house is very clean. So if as a woman your house is always upside down, your children will also be upside down. It's analogy, scientifically proven. Finally, you need to seek professional help if you notice that the stress of your child is now taking you people to the hospital. You need to seek professional help. If you notice that the stress of your child is now changing his behavior and it's no longer behaving the way he should. You know, in this part of our world, counseling and consultation is not usually our our fault. A lot of people say, my can't go hospital. They will give an injection. Everything is not injection. Everything is not tablet. There are some principles, some information, let me put it that way, your children need to have at a tender age, because it is that information that they will grow up with. I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you need to help your child manage stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. When you were talking, I was just learning things and I was even writing down. Thank you so much. If guys, this is if you have
You're
any
welcome.
questions, please ask now, because Dr. Emmanuel just have very, very few minutes with us. I've learned so many things. I know that children go through stress. Yeah, there are sometimes my daughter comes to me and tell me, "Mommy, I'm tired," and I agree. Yes, you're tired. You need to
Yeah,
rest.
yeah,
Unlike what we usually know. If you
yeah.
say you're tired as a child, the first thing you're going to hear is,
What did you do?
you. How can you be tired? What have you done? So children, so
Yeah,
children get stressed too. There are so many things you talked about: the aggressive behavior, the impulsiveness, being so withdrawn, being so quiet. At a point, I got even emotional. Self, I don't even know why. Thank you so much. Okay, someone is asking, what's your social
You're
media
welcome.
handle? What's your social media handle?
Okay, so my name Emmanuel Akpe. That's just it. You can add the stress manager to it so that it will take you straight to my profile. That's my
Okay.
Facebook now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Emmanuel Akpe, the stress manager. Because there are a lot of Emmanuel Akpes on social media. So yeah, so
Yeah. As there's a question
so you
here,
can actually follow me.
does this breathing exercise work for parents when their children get them angry?
Yeah, very well. Because you need to be in a very stable state emotionally to be able to pass across a discipline. If you want to discipline your child or you want to give your child an information or your child annoyed you so much, if you are responding at that angry state, you are basically passing no information. You are passing no lesson. You are teaching the child nothing. You understand? But if you are calm and you speak with the child, there's a difference between shouting and communicating. You can shout down an information on the child, but you have not communicated. So for you to be able to communicate, you need to get your anger to at least a minimal level so you can pass that information to your child.
You know, there was something you said. You mentioned something about the that analogy you gave, the rain, the thunder, and the lightning. That is it for
Yeah,
me. That is the highlight
yeah,
for me. And one important thing I got from that is how you communicate to your child is really important. One thing I know that works for my daughter is
yeah,
sometimes when she's getting really frustrated and I see it in her face, I don't talk to her like standing up. I squat to come down
yeah,
to her level.
yeah,
I come
yeah.
eye to eye,
Mm-hmm.
to her level to
Yeah,
communicate with her,
yeah,
even if we're outside or in the house, to communicate with her. I find it that as in she's more expressive, she's more able to listen or hear me, or more open to conversation than when I'm just standing and I'm just talking down at her, what's wrong with you? That kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's really, really
yeah.
insightful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. You want to tell us about the course before we bring on the next speaker?
Yeah, so the course is available on Seller. It's stress management strategy for children. But I will want you to actually send us a message. If you go to our website, www.tsmwellness.com, once you open the website, you will see a WhatsApp logo on it. So click on it and send a message that you want to purchase the course for children, stress management for children, and we'll send you the link. Yes, tsmwellness.com. So once you go to this website, you will see a WhatsApp icon. Click on it. You send a message directly to us that you want to purchase it. So we send you the link and you get it. So for members of this community, the cost is 10,000. But for members of this community, I'm going to give you 50% discount if you key into it between now and Monday. You get 50% discount.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Wow, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
No
And for the
problem.
person that wants to
Yeah,
contact him, or for those that want to contact him, still go through the website. You go straight to the WhatsApp. You don't even need to go through email. Yeah, just go
yeah,
straight to the
yeah,
WhatsApp and write to him.
yeah,
That's even better. Thank you
yeah.
so much. We really appreciate you, Dr. Emmanuel. You see why
You're welcome.
we
You're
keep bringing
welcome.
him back every year. Thank you. Really appreciate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And we are still here, Wumi and I. And we have our next speaker that is here already in the background. Oh, and I actually wrote to her that we are waiting. But at this moment, I'm thinking that we just need to stretch a little, even if it's just 1 minute. We've been sitting since. Who agrees with me? Can we just stretch a little, at least for 1 minute? Bosede, please pity us just a little. If you agree with me, let me hear. Let me read from the comment section. If you agree, we should stretch a little. Hey, Wunmi, you're laughing. This is not true.
It's true. Sitting it's stressful.
It is so.
It
We've been
is.
sitting. This is 2 hours 39 minutes.
It's stressful. If I go to work in the cafes, and sometimes within 30, 40 minutes, I'm standing up and I'm seeing everybody seated and I'm wondering, how are they coping? I cannot do it. I'm just standing and stretching and walking around the cafe, like, then go back to the laptop. Like, it's
Abi.
very messy.
So, let me stretch away. Yeah, someone says stretch away. Let me stretch away. Wait, our next speaker. Oh, she has logged off. Let me write to her for her to come back again. And I think I should just play some music. I wish I'm a comedian. I would have entertained you people small now. Wunmi, are you a comedian? Are you a comedian? You
And the
can
what?
small.
In my house, I'm the most dry one. I don't have jokes.
Hey. Okay, let me just put music while we wait for her to come back.
But I really hope you're all picking up something from the section and you're learning, you're picking new things to, to do and I think a lot of our growing up is just on learning. That's just it. On learning certain things.
Okay, she's back, thankfully. While we bring her on, please you can just leave us a review on our Google page with the link below, and also share on your social media platforms, because the next session is going to be on emotional regulation for parents. Very, very essential. If not, all of us will just be walking about like angry birds. So and also please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, share the videos with your cloud with on your social media handles with your audience, okay? And the next person we have is Bosede Christiana. Before I bring her on, let me tell you a little about her. Or let me bring her on so that we'll be seeing her. Hello. It's kind of echoing.
Hi, Dr. Ezinne. Can you hear me?
Very well. Very well, Bosede. I'm just going to read your profile. And just to let you guys know, I met her on LinkedIn. This is a very consistent lady. I think I'm really echoing and I don't know why. Okay. She's a very, very consistent lady that she cares so much about mental health, always teaching, always teaching. So she's going to be teaching us on emotional regulation for parents. And who is Bosede? She is a mental health therapist, child and adolescent counselor with well over 8 years of experience in the counseling profession. Her passion is to ensure that individuals gain self awareness and learn life coping skills. Yeah, I'm echoing and I have no idea why. Let me see. Am I echoing now? Seems it has stopped. Okay. I'm still echoing. Sorry. Please bear with me for a while. I don't know why I'm echoing. I'll figure it out later. Okay, maybe stop the music. Oh, yeah. It's true. It's true. Is it better now? I'm still echoing. It's so cringy. So her therapeutic, okay, her passion is to ensure that individuals gain self-awareness and learn life coping skills that will lead them to live a life of fulfillment and resilience. Her therapeutic approaches include cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and psychodynamic theory. She is a professional member of the Association of Counselors, Matchmaking, and Psychotherapy of Nigeria. Now I know why I've been echoing. Sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah, it has stopped. Okay. So for 6 years, she worked in the educational sector as a school counselor and currently works in the mental health sector as a therapist. Join Bosede as she teaches emotional regulation for parents in the summit. Thank you so much. Why I was echoing was because Wunmi is in the background and her mic was not unmuted, so that was what happened, and it's been sorted now. Wunmi, you did that. But said that you're much welcome. We are so happy to have you here. Oh no, her network has gone off. Let's hope it connects back. So she's going to be teaching us on emotional regulation for parents. This is a very, very important topic because if we don't know how to regulate our emotions, we are just going to be like the thunder and the lightning that Dr. Emmanuel thought about earlier. So it will be awesome for us. Okay, she's back again. Bosede, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, Dr. Ezinne.
You have the floor. Please carry on now with your session.
Can you hear me?
Very well. Please carry on.
Okay, I hope the echoing is not from my end. I'm hoping it's not from my end. Good evening, everyone. It's evening here in Lagos, Nigeria. And thank you for that introduction, Dr. Ezinne. I'm pleased to be here. So we are looking at emotional regulation for parents. As someone who has a background in education, I like to teach. I'm kind of used to it. I like to teach. So I'm going to break this topic into, or I would say I'm going to pick out the 3 keywords in this topic, which are emotions, regulation, and parents. So when we talk about emotions, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Someone might say, oh, feelings, maybe the way I feel, like I feel sad, I feel happy. These are emotions that we can name, we are conversant with. Or I feel angry or frustrated, or I feel elated, I'm excited. As much as we cannot do without oxygen, what makes us living, what makes us human, one of the things that is important to our existence is the air that we breathe in. If you take that out, even if our body is intact, every other thing is functioning, then the person is as good as dead. And sometimes we might not come to the realization of how important it is to breathe. If I'm to cover my my nose and then my mouth all together, more or less like I'm suffocating myself. And to make it more effective, if I use let's say a veil or a scarf to do that, I'm sure in 1 minute I'll start coughing and choking and all that. If we can come to the realization of how important it is to breathe, just taking the air, the oxygen, then we would also embrace the importance of emotions. Emotions are powerful. Oh, not because they make us feel certain way, not because we can even name how we feel, but because emotions point us to things happening within us and around us. So emotions point us to what is happening on the inside. I mean, the internal struggles, sometimes they are not even struggles. The internal conflict the internal situations, what is going on your inside that no one around you is aware of. And emotions also point us, they are pointers, they are signals to what is happening around us. So let's pick fear, for example. Fear is an emotion. When someone is afraid, what are the likely things that you expect the person to do? We call these behavioral responses. You might expect that the person will shout, or cringe, or run, or the person might even be shocked. These are responses to the emotion, which is fear. But before someone would get to that state of fearfulness, before someone gets to a point where they are actually afraid, something has happened. Maybe they saw a ghost, on a lighter note, or the person remembered something that has happened and was quite a fearful occurrence, or the person saw something that is scary, like I don't like snakes, for example. So imagine me, I don't want to imagine that now. So as I am speaking, I don't want us to go too deep, but imagine something that scares you. Let's say an animal that scares you. Some people are afraid of the dark. Some people are afraid of spaces. They have phobia for spaces. Some people, people have phobia for different things. And when we come in contact with those things that we are afraid of, or situations, or we remember incidents that has, made us fearful, I'm using fear as an example, then that emotion is supplied. That emotion, which is fear, is generated. So it is a signal to, from the brain to the mind and then to the body, telling that person that something is going on. You need to pay attention. How about sadness? That's another, emotion. When someone is sad, do people just wake up and they are sad? No. Some persons might say, I don't even know why I'm feeling this way. We will get there as we're looking at emotional regulation. We will get to that point where you can actually understand why you are feeling the way that you are. So emotions are no jokes. They don't just happen to us out of the blues, and they are not just there for us to, be in that state where you are all by yourself, or you are excited, or you can share those moments with people. They are signals, they are pointers they are indicators to what is happening within us and what is happening around us, and we need to pay attention. So now moving on to emotions in parents. Parenthood, adulthood is a stage on its own. And for someone to be a parent, a child or children would be involved in that relationship, in that setting. Well, as parents, as adults, we have come to a point, or I would say it's expected of us, to be at that level where, people expect us to supply the necessary behavioral response when something happens. I'll take us back. So I'm using certain terminologies and I want us to understand. Behavioral responses are what you do with the emotion or emotions that you have. And emotions actually come from somewhere. I would also let us know. So as a parent, talking about emotions, you have emotions. Of course, your children have, your children also have emotions. I mean, they are humans. They are first humans before they are children. But there is a gap, there is, a lap, and that gap is the fact that a child or your child is at a developmental stage where a whole lot of processes is going on. What you can understand as a parent, what you can express as a parent, the child cannot. So take, for example, my daughter loves, she loves watching Disney Junior a lot. And I try to limit that during weekdays like this. And I always get the question why. And of course, I will always explain why. But she has not come to that place of understanding. I mean, understanding why I'm limiting screen time, or I'm saying no to screen time during, weekdays. My why number one is that it can make you go to bed late. Two, you have gone to school, you have engaged your brain, you have done a lot of exercises, that brain needs to rest, and so on and so forth. But children, oftentimes toddlers, cannot understand. And when we are talking about children here, I'm going to be referring to infants, babies, of course. I'm going to also be referring to preschoolers. I'm going to be referring to toddlers, preteens, and teenagers. We can't leave out teenagers. We can't leave out adolescents. They are children. Yes, the fact that they are all big and they can display certain characteristics, whether emotional or mental, they are still children. They are still in a state of transition. They have not fully come into adulthood. I would say they are in between childhood and adulthood. So they are still children. So when we talk about emotional regulation, so I've split the topic into the three key words, and then I want to bring the two, which is our focus this evening. It's evening here in Lagos, Nigeria. I want to bring the two together. What is emotional regulation? How do you regulate your emotion? So since emotions are something that we cannot do without, they are so important to us as the air that we breathe. You can't say, today I'm not going to show any emotion, I'm not going to feel. In fact, that's dangerous for your mental health. You can't say, I'm not going to show any emotion, I'm not going to feel anything, I'm not going to. No, that's impossible, because you'll be denying yourself, your brain, and your mind the ability to understand what is going on within you and around you. So how do we regulate emotions? As we come to a place where our emotions are not, scattered, they are not everywhere. We can't even understand, what we are doing, or would have taken certain decisions, would have said some things, and we need to live, in regret. We begin to have regrets, like what is going on, what is happening. Emotional regulation is the ability to manage and control your emotions. It is, the ability to have influence, to choose and select what you do with your emotions. So I'm going to go back to the illustration using fear. Let's say I see the animal that I don't like. And of course, fear sets in. Seeing that animal, my brain interprets the signal that my brain picks from the situation is, Bosede, you don't like this animal. Then the emotional response that my brain supplies to my mind is freeze, run, or shout or scream. Then for me to regulate my emotion at that point in time, is it advisable to shout, to scream? Will this animal not pursue me? Is it advisable to freeze? Is it advisable to run? Which one will be the best for me? Sometimes some people will say, it might be difficult and challenging to even choose what to do at that point in time. If you have subjected yourself to regulating, to managing your emotions, to influencing your emotions over time, you know what to do. There are so many illustrations. Take, for example, someone insults you. If you are in Nigeria, Lagos precisely, and you use commercial buses. So let's say a bus conductor insults you. You want to get your change. You're applying a route, moving from one end to the other, and then you want to get your change. And this bus conductor starts insulting you, shouting and screaming on top of his voice. And all you did was, conductor, give me my change. That was what you said. How do you manage the situation? How do you ensure that you do not get to a point where you are also screaming and shouting and everyone is saying, Auntie, it's okay, Uncle, it's okay. And then people are begging you, and then they are begging the bus conductor as well. How do you get to that point? It's all about influencing your emotion or your emotions. So I was saying that children are in a developmental stage. As parents, we need to understand that. In fact, as caregivers, we need to understand that, because I believe this does not involve parents alone. It also includes caregivers. We need to understand that. So if you are telling a child no, for example, oh no, I can't get you chocolates today. No, you can't watch the TV. No, you can't go out to play with your friend. The child, toddlers in particular, cannot come to that point where he or she will be able to process that information or see reason why you are saying you cannot. What that toddler will interpret is, mommy does not like, mommy does not want me to go and play, or daddy does not want me to go and play, or my auntie does not want me to go and play, or my teacher does not want me to go and play. That is the interpretation the child will give. So understanding the psychology of the mind of a child is very, very important. You are an adult, a child is a child. If I move further to a preteen, for example, preteens are always acting nonchalant. You know, those that are around age 10, 11, they're always acting like there's nothing that's going to happen. The world is, the world is free. You know, the world revolves around them. The world, the world will wait for them. They're always acting that way. So how do you come to a point where you can understand what is going on in the mind of this child? Acting that way is just a defense mechanism. They don't want you to see, because they are moving towards adolescence. They are moving towards, the adolescent stage. And of course, which is one of the most common traits that adolescents display. They are not yet adolescent, though. And they want to feel like, no, don't worry, I have this thing under control. Nothing will happen. And if care is not taken, your interpretation as an adult, your interpretation as a parent will be that this child does not care. Oh, this child is lazy. This child does not want to listen. Oh, this child will not just take instructions. Or this child is disobedient. You need to understand how the mind of that child is working at that point in time. Then I'm going to move to adolescents now, teenagers. Oh, they oftentimes believe, I would say 80% out of 100 of teenagers oftentimes believe that they are grown up, they are old enough, they can handle it on their own. For preteens, they care that way and they also put on a nonchalant attitude. But for adolescents, they want you to know that, mommy, daddy, I can handle this thing. Or they tell their teachers, Mrs. This, Mr. That, nothing will happen. But we need to understand again that they are still children. Their brain is, in a developmental process. Their brain is growing. Their brain has not fully matured. There's still a lot of filtration when it comes to information. Information is going into the brain. The brain is still filtering information because they are building an identity. If you call a teenager now and you ask the question, who are you? The teenager would most likely define himself or herself, based on maybe what they like, what they have achieved, which is part of it, but not the entirety of who we are. So we need to understand how the mind of children works, and how do we understand them? How do we understand the way the mind of children works? Number one, dialogue. Have a dialogue with a child. So I send, let's say for example, I send my child, get me a glass of water. Get me a glass of water the first time. Get me a glass of water the second time. Get me a glass of water the third time. The child is seated playing, PS, I think it's PS5 now that is in vogue. PS5, or the child is watching cartoon, watching anime. The child is engrossed and doing something. And I've said it three different times. Get me this, get me this, get me, and the child is not responding. Of course, as a parent, as an adult, I'll be upset. It doesn't mean that this child cannot hear me calling him or her. Why is this child disobedient like this? Why won't this child listen to me? Or this is how he always does, or this is how she does all the time. So dialogue will come in this form, when you have a one-on-one conversation with the child, letting the child know how you feel about that attitude, about the situation. It might not be at that moment. It might be at a time where you are calm. Yes, because you don't want your emotions to get in place. You are calm, you feel calm, and there are no distractions. So it's not the time where you say, oh, Daniel, I want to have a chat with you concerning what happened, earlier on, concerning what happened in the morning. And then a phone call comes in, and then you pick the call and say, oh, excuse me. Or while you are talking to the child, you pick a call and then you are chatting on your phone. No. And I say this because when it comes to emotional regulation, or no, when it comes to building children, when it comes to grooming children, when it comes to helping children transit into wholesome adults, into complete adults. Children learn more by what they see or what they hear. Children learn more by imitation. So the ability, your ability as a parent, my ability as a parent to model, a healthy emotional regulation, to model how we engage our emotions, to model the kind of outlet we choose to express our emotions. So outlets are also synonymous to behavioral responses. Rather than shouting on Daniel, Daniel, I've told you, bring water for me, bring a glass of water for me. You don't want to bring the water. What is so special about that cartoon? What is so special about the anime? I'm going to seize that PS5. I'm going to throw it away. That is an outlet for my emotion. And it's okay for me to feel frustrated at that point in time, because this is a child I've called 3 times and this child has refused. So rather than model or choose that kind of outlet, that kind of behavioral response to express how I felt, because it's also good that I express how I feel. And the child will just think that, oh, anything goes. The child will just think that, anything I do goes. And then maybe when the child gets to school, the child does not also listen to teachers, does not listen to staff members, does not listen to any adult outside. Maybe the child is sent on an errand and the child is going like, oh, my mommy does not, after all, my mommy does not do this, or my daddy does not do that. No. So have a dialogue. Number 2, that dialogue needs to be assertive. Assertive in the sense that you are going to let the child know how you feel. Clearly state how you feel. I felt upset when I sent you water. Sometimes we feel that having conversations like this, especially with toddlers, we feel that it is difficult. No, it's not. It's not. Yes, for those that are younger, for children that are younger, it might be challenging, it might be difficult for them to understand some of this, but their brain is absorbing the information. Remember, I said that children are growing, moving from childhood to preteen to adolescence, and the brain is gathering information. The brain is filtering information. So when you do this once, you do it the second time, you do it the third time, the child will naturally pick up, this model of resolving issues. So after dialogue, you move to being assertive. You can dialogue and not be assertive. And then, yes, you have not portrayed or displayed any form of regulated emotion at that point in time. So an example of dialoguing and not being assertive is this. You call the child. You have decided to call the child aside at a time when you feel calm. Or the first thing you start with, you're always disobedient. No, that's not an assertive way of communicating how you felt. That is not an assertive way of letting the child understand the implication of what he or she has done. You don't start by saying, Daniel, you're always disobedient. You don't used to listen to me. You're already judging the child. You're not assertive. So you start by stating how you feel. Daniel, I felt upset when I sent you to give me a glass of water and I did not. Some children will apologize, some would not. The purpose of assertive communication is not for the child to apologize. Yes, it's for the child to understand that there's a better way to handle issues. It's for you to also express how you felt or how you're feeling if you're expressing yourself at the moment. And emotions need outlets. Yes, that is why sometimes some people just shout and scream and you'll be like, what happened to this person? Why are you shouting and screaming? That is why sometimes some people will choose outlets such as breaking things. Emotions need outlets, and even as parents, we are not supposed to repress our emotions. No, we are not supposed to push our emotions down. It is not healthy for us. So you feel that, okay, my child is too young to understand. No, the child is not too young to understand that there is a healthy pattern of communicating. There is a healthy pattern of expressing, or trying to resolve conflict. Then number 3, be compassionate with yourself as a parent. What does self-compassion is a message that I've been preaching like over a year now. It has been like my anthem over a year now. When you are compassionate with yourself as a parent, you will be compassionate with your child. So take, for example, out of family, out of being a parent to your child, when it comes to your social relationships, when it comes to your work life, let's say your business life, how do you handle issues? Do you use swear words? Do you use curse words, at yourself when something goes wrong? Are you like, I shouldn't have done this? Why am I so? I don't even want to use those words, but I will, just to cite this illustration. Why am I so dumb? Why can't I do things right? And your child is listening. Your child can hear you. Your child can hear you. Use those choice of words. Why can't I just get things right? So when you make mistakes as a parent, be compassionate with yourself. Be self-compassionate. Don't begin to use swear words against yourself. Don't begin to use words that are irrational, words that are unhealthy towards yourself. Then point number 4, yes, this should be point number 4 now. Teach your children cause and effect. So I'm still going to use Daniel as an example. Daniel, get me a cup of water, and Daniel did not. So I will make Daniel, in my dialogue now, I will make Daniel, if you see this outline, they are one step after the other. I'll make Daniel understand that when you are sent on an errand, or when you are called upon, let me start from there. When you are called upon, you ought to respond. You don't know the state the other person is in at that point in time. I could be choking. I could be in distress, and a glass of water, a cup of water is what I needed at that point in time. And it is, also if you can't come to me to get the water, it's also okay to state that, oh, mommy, I can't come to you, or mommy, I'm coming, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If that child has gotten to that stage, that age that the child can express himself or herself that way. Yes. So, mommy, I'm coming. Oh, mommy, can you give me 5 minutes? Oh, Daniel is urgent, I'm choking. So it's also good that rather than going mute, rather than being quiet, rather than being silent, it's also good that you communicate, you state, let the other person understand what you are doing and how you want to respond to them at that point in time. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on. This is really powerful.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. I have issues with power supply. My background is dark, although I can see my lips moving. Okay, so I was saying that letting the child understand the cause and the effect of that action. So when you do this, or when mommy says do this, when daddy says do this, and you do not, there will be a consequence, or there will be consequences for the response that you have chosen as a child. Or maybe the consequence will be that you won't watch cartoon for a week, you won't you won't play your video game for a week, you won't take snacks to school for a week, or I'm going to cut short your snacks money, your lunch money, and all that. Let the child understand that when we err, when we do something wrong, there are consequences, and that is how life works. We can't just choose to live anyhow. We can't just do things, anyhow. We need to weigh our decisions. We need to weigh our options before we act. We can't just jump into a flood of decisions, or we can't just jump into a decision or onto a decision and then begin to act that out. Help the child, to understand. Then also, as a parent that is emotionally regulated, or a parent that wants to learn emotional regulation, to be proactive. I call it to be responsive. to be responsive to the child or towards a child is better and healthier than being reactive towards a child. What is a child motive? So I'm still using Daniel as an example. What was Daniel's motive for not bringing me a glass of water? Maybe Daniel was, playing video game. Now, rather than shouting, rather than yelling at Daniel, rather than even lifting the video game and smashing it, I know that is possible as African and Nigerian parents. Yes, it happens in some homes, so don't let us deny that. So rather than taking that route to express my emotion, what is Daniel's motivation for not answering me? Is it that this video game is a distraction to Daniel? Is it really a distraction to Daniel? Is it something that Daniel can do without? So now we come to a place where, or a step that we call appraising our thoughts. We need to appraise our thoughts. Should I take this video game away from Daniel? Should I limit Daniel's screen time? You want to look at the particular thing the child was doing at that point in time that motivated the behavior. So let me use another example. You go to the supermarket, you're shopping, you're getting some things, and your child just points to a toy. Let's say, your girl child points to a toy, points to a baby doll, beautiful purple, a baby doll dressed in, purple and pink. Your 6-year-old, your 7-year-old child points at that, and you don't have money for it. It's not on your list. You can't even afford it. Let's say it will cost you a sum. Or at that point in time, you can't afford it. It's something that you can afford on a number. It's not in your budget. And this child is saying, Mommy, I'm going to take this doll with me today, whether it is in your budget or not. And you are wondering, what is wrong with this child? Then from there, if you're not careful, your emotional responses that will begin to build up will be anger. As an African parent, you want to spank the child. You might want to hold yourself because you're in public and you're like, if I get home today, what I'm going to do to this child. But at that point in time, you should take a pause. What is motivating this child's behavior? What is motivating her behavior? Yes, she wants a doll. Why? These are the pattern of questioning that you are going to use to engage your child, to dialogue with your child, to come into an agreement with your child, where both of you can leave the supermarket without you purchasing that item. So you can call the child's name. Let's say Cynthia, why do you want a doll now? Mommy, I need a doll. Okay, maybe the old one is, Mommy, you promised me. So the child is also giving reasons why she needs that item at that point in time. Then remember the second step that I mentioned. Assertive communication. Okay, I can't afford to buy you this at the moment. These are the things that are on my list. Mommy wants to buy this. Mommy wants to buy this. Mommy wants to buy this. Can we purchase this item later? And you'll be specific about the later. Can we purchase this item after this term? And the child might ask, okay, when is after this term? Oh, it's 3 months from now. Oh, it is this. Oh, it is that. And you are going to fulfill your promise. So you don't just say that to shush your child away, because children remember. Yes, they might not be able to envisage for too long. I mean, envisage into the future for too long, like hoping what will happen a year, 2 years from now. But such, they will remember. So try to know the motive behind a child's behavior. Then, when we talk about a parent that is emotionally regulated, for some people, they have tried. For some people, the difficulty, the challenge is because as a parent, you cannot also regulate your emotions yourself. So some of the questions that we might want to ask as adults, as parents is, am I self-aware? What level of awareness do I have about me, about who I am, about how I relate, how I interact with myself, how I interact with people? What level of awareness do I have when it comes to my emotional bank? How emotionally strong am I? When I'm faced with difficulties, when I'm faced with challenges that does not have to do with my children now, how do I handle it? What is my self-talk? Or what are my self-talks? How do I talk to myself when it comes to my job, when it comes to my spouse, when it comes to my friends? How do I relate with myself? When we are able to answer some of these questions, then it will also be easier for us to self-regulate as parents, and also train and teach our children how to be emotionally regulated. So the question now really is not, oh, teaching children to be emotionally regulated. As a parent, are you emotionally regulated? Remember I said that children pick up behavioral traits much more from what they see, what they hear, by imitation, simply put, from what they see, what they hear, than what we tell them to do. And it's because of the way their brain is wired. Children pick information more from what they see. So if they see mommy that is always shouting, if they see daddy that is always using swear words, daddy that will be upset and will hit the door, or daddy that is always passive aggressive, yes, that's an example. Or mommy that is always aggressive, mommy that, when I offend mommy like this, she's going to hold me and she will shake me very well. Or when I offend my mom, the next thing is, some children even know that when they commit an offense, they don't even have to say anything. Just stretch your hand, and then mommy and daddy will beat you. It is maybe after the beating, they will now listen to your motive, behind that action, behind the child's reaction. And the reverse should actually be the case. And it is not in all situations that you beat. They are if you train your child early, if you engage that child, in emotional regulation early, you will find out that you use little to no corporal punishment. Oh, kneel down, raise up your hand, do this and do that. You will use little to no form of corporal punishment when you infuse emotional regulation. I'm going to go back to infancy. I'll go back to, infancy. A baby, for example, let's say a child that is 6 months, that is 1 year old, and then the child is crying. How do you co-regulate? There's a term we call co-regulation. How do you help the child to understand what is happening and how that child can feel loved, and responded to in the environment? The baby is crying and crying. In our setting, African Nigeria setting, some people will say, leave the child. If you carry this child too much, this child, will get used to you carrying the child, and then the child might not want to stay on the ground and all that. As little as babies are, they can also learn how to regulate their emotions. So when you carry a baby and you cuddle the child, except the child is hungry, if it's a child that is age, let's say 4 months and below, maybe the child has not overcome colic, for example, or the child is hungry, or the child is distressed, or the child is going through one health condition or the other, you carry a baby, what will happen? And you cuddle the baby, the child will be quiet. If the child is not hungry or under any of the circumstances that I've mentioned, the child will be quiet, because at that point in time, the child can feel the love, the child can feel the warmth around. And that's what happened when we move on to other stages of development. So for a child that you put in all the steps, you put in dialogue, you put in, assertive communication, you make the child understand the cause and the effect, that child is learning at that point in time. That child is speaking, character traits, behavioral traits at that point in time. And then that child would also understand how to express himself or how to express herself. And some of us as parents will say to our children, why are you crying? Please, crying, most especially for toddlers, and even for those that are, that are grown, that are older than toddlers and preschoolers. Crying is one of the ways to express what is going on their inside. So rather than ask a child, why are you crying again? Ask the child, or rather than ask a child, stop crying, or say to a child, stop crying, ask the child, why are you crying? What has happened? Oh, Fumi beat me. Tolu said my head is big, and this person said this and that. So what that child is making you to understand is, what this person said, I don't like it. The interpretation I have of this statement is an insult, or when this person beat me, of course, I felt pain. So at that point in time, the cry, which is the emotional response, is communicating what the child is feeling. So rather than telling your child or our children not to cry, please allow them to cry, because from that, you can infer, you can know what is going on with the child. And for those that are older, they might withdraw. For those that are preschoolers, for those that are preteens, for those that teenagers, they might withdraw when they are going through a lot of distress, maybe stress from schoolwork, friends, they are going through peer pressure, and you're like, this child is always moody. She just wants to be on her own. She will not even talk and all that. Do not forget, as adults, we have also gone through these stages. Yes, we might not recall, we might not remember, some of the challenges, the struggles that we had while we were in these stages. But it's important to learn at this point in time, why is the child moody? Why is that child quiet? Why is this child not listening to me? Engage the child. Ask questions. For the child that is crying, that can express himself or herself better through crying, ask questions. Do not say, oh, you're always moody. Everybody will be here in the sitting room. You just go and lock yourself in the room. What are you doing in that room? Rather than ask the child, what are you doing in that room? Move into the room. Spend time with the child. Ask the child questions. How is school? For adolescents now, some of them will say, fine. Their answer will be in monologue. Fine. Bring illustrations from experiences that you've had when you were in their stage to make conversations with them. Oh, when I was so and so and so and so, and this, I had this, I had this, I had this, I had that. Because sometimes children who are older, when I say children who are older, and I mean adolescents, they sometimes feel that, oh, these are our parents, they can't understand, they cannot relate. And then to a large extent, they are correct, because the generational gap is there. Even though we have gone through those stages, that gap is still there. I mean, we're talking about maybe 20, 30 years gap for some people. For some persons, it's even 40 years gap, and a whole lot of transition from technology, to fashion, to transition in education has happened. And really, we might not understand some things, but making them to realize that it's a developmental stage that they will go through. And some things are natural. When you engage them that way, you also know how to teach them. So rather than judge, rather than criticize the child, rather than blame the child, engage that child. Know what is happening in the life of the child. Use your experiences as an illustration. And finally, my final word is that emotional regulation is continuous. You don't, as a parent, as an adult, you don't say, okay, today I have learned or I have practiced how to express myself in healthy ways. I have not shouted at my child. Or in 1 week, I have not shouted, I'm not yelling, or I'm not calling my child names, as some people do, which is unhealthy. And then you maybe a week from now, you forget about all of those things. No, emotional regulation is continuous. It's a process. It's not something that you do when the child is much younger, and when the child is a bit grown, is an adolescent, you are saying, oh, I need to be tough. In fact, at that point in time, everything a child needs to learn should have started from childhood. I mean, when children get to the adolescent stage, everything that child, or almost everything that child needs to know when it comes to behavioral responses, when it comes to managing their emotions, should have started from childhood. It is not in adolescence that you begin to do that. So understand that emotional regulation is a process. It's also a skill. You might need to read more. You might need to attend trainings like this. You might need to attend seminars. You might need to seek help as a parent. And when I say seek help, maybe you have been through a traumatic experience as a child. And because of the behavioral patterns you have learned from this trauma, which is not your fault, because trauma actually changes the way the brain functions. Trauma changes the way the brain interprets issues. So, because of what you have learned, you might find it challenging to regulate your emotions. You should seek help. Do not be quiet. Do not be silent. Hello, Dr. Ezinne, are you there?
I'm here 100%. Like, this is a shift. Are you done?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, this is a shift. This is a shift. Wunmi, I don't know if you felt the same transformation I felt just listening to
I
us.
did. She's very worded. You're
I'm
very good and
like,
very worded.
oh my
Thank you
goodness,
so
like
much
this
for
is
this
a
session.
shift.
Yeah. I was jotting down some of the things you were saying.
Me
You're
too.
right.
Me
Well
too.
done, ma'am. Thank you so much.
If you have any question, please ask. If you have any question, please ask. This is transformational. Like, oh my goodness. Thank you.
And I
Thank you.
really, really did like your mindset, despite the electricity issues, you just kept continuing. And I was seeing your smile. You see, like I'm unbothered with all that. So it was a very good thing to him to see.
She needs to come back online. Wow. This is really, really transformational. I like the way she was really practical, making it so relatable, then step by step on how to approach these things, how to regulate your emotions. As in, this is like a wow for me. See, I'm not even alone. Taiwo says this is wow. This is really a wow. So I can't even wait to go out there and start practicing. I can't wait to go and start practicing. Let me say, what will my daughter do now? Maybe she'll be crying, and I'll now try to figure out why she's crying, coming down to her level, and then regulating my own emotions. And then later we can have dialogue. And I realized that whenever we have dialogues, she's really attentive. She really listens. And even before I finishes, she's telling me, I'm sorry. Although Bosede said that's not the goal of dialogues. But I get that. She says, I'm sorry. She wants to give you a hug. And then she's telling you she won't do it again. I love the practicality of this session. If you have any questions, guys, please share. Ask, ask, ask. Let's maximize her time here, Bosede, because what she has taught here, I assure you, you must know how much you're going to pay to access this knowledge. I know people that charge a lot on topics like this, emotional regulation for parents. So if you have any questions, please ask. If you don't have any question, just show appreciation then. And while we are waiting for comments, questions, just tell us about your social media or how we can contact you in case we need further information or anything else. But say, did you hear me?
Okay, my line, will I say my line or the line is breaking? I could hear you speaking, but I didn't get the question.
Okay, I said, while we are waiting for questions, tell us how we can contact you in case we need further information from you or anything else.
Okay, my LinkedIn handle is Bosede Christiana Oyelakin, the way my name is on the screen, and my mail address is bosedeoyelakin16@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I saw your private message. You need to run. Oh dear. No worries. Thank
Yes.
you so much for this session. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. I was telling them before you went offline that I can't wait to go and start practicing practicing what you just said now, especially in regards to my kids. I can't wait to go and start practicing. And this is one session I need to rewatch again because it's the practicality for me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, ma.
Okay, so let's leave
Yes.
you now.
Bye.
People are sending comments, but we have to leave you to run. It's all right.
I
Thank you
can
so much.
take, let me take two questions. Then let me
Okay,
take two questions so I don't just leave, people aloof like that.
yeah. We haven't seen any question yet. It's just comments
Praise
about the
praise the
session.
Lord.
Like
Okay.
just
All right.
comments about the session. Like this is a wow. It's really amazing. If anyone has any questions, and you can send it to her on her social media. This I when she started, I told you guys that she teaches a lot, and it's so evident she's actually a teacher. Thank you so much, Bosede. So you can connect with her on LinkedIn and then her email as well. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Bosede.
Okay. All right, Dr. Ezinne.
Okay. So guys, we've come to the end of today's session. I don't know if this is a time well spent for you. If it is, let me see in the comments. Was this time well spent for you? Was your time well maximized? Was it quality investment for you? Or do you have any word to describe the summit so far? Let's see in the comments. And while you're writing, I'll just drop this announcement to you that tomorrow is grand finale. Tomorrow is going to be a panel session. For those that don't know what it means we are going to have 5 panelists on the screen at the same time, dissecting this topic, understanding your child's mental well-being. So it's going to be more detailed, more practical. In previous summits, people usually say that the second day is usually their best because they get time to relate to the experiences shared by panelists. They also get to ask more detailed questions and get responses because you have different people on the screen at the same time. So tomorrow is a day you should not miss. And one thing I will encourage you to do is please share this summit, share whatever you've learned to people, because it will be really unfair that you're putting all this effort to train your children just for them to get to school or to go outside there and they're influenced by peers because the peers were ignorant. Maybe their parents didn't really know what to do. So share it to your audience so that we'll have a community or a society that is raising their children well, so that nobody pollutes our efforts, so that nobody um, ruins the things we are doing to take care of our own children. Okay, so share whatever you've learned. Share. For those in the email list, we are going to send recordings to your emails so that you can catch the replay. And I see all you writing. What do you do to each other? Says I won't do it again. I repeat the same thing again and again. I think for me, I'm not the expert here, but I think that from the things I've gathered so far, keep talking to them. They are listening, they are absorbing it. You will see the change with time. Sometimes it's not instant. It's just like sometimes I look at my daughter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, because the you were a year ago is really different from the you are right now, because she's not perfect, but there is difference. That means they are actually listening. They are understanding what you're saying regardless of their age. So just keep talking. Okay, don't get tired. It's intentional parenting. And then Julia says, this is so real, Winnie. Time well spent. Can't believe I stayed all through. Busola, time well spent. Juliet, I see you, Ba. Thank you so much. Mom, who is your mom? I'm not your mom. Juliet, I appreciate you, but Juliet, and I appreciate you. Ebe Age, you have done well. We all have done well. Ikiru, this is my sister-in-law, wonderful woman. Really interesting. I enjoyed all the sessions. Adebola, the session is worthwhile. I really appreciate every one of you, and do well to invite other people. And I'm going to send out um, emails, and please just give us reviews. We really appreciate it. Okay, give us feedback. We really appreciate it. It helps us to improve in subsequent summits. Please plan to attend that of tomorrow. Thank you so much. Wunmi, anything?
No, See you all tomorrow. And have a restful night.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. I don't even feel like going, but we have to go, It's almost 4 hours. We have to go. See you all tomorrow. Come back more gingered because tomorrow is going to be the ball. Just don't miss it. Okay? Signing out.
Bye.